Start streaming. Is my internet gonna work? Surely it will. Surely it will. Excellent connection. Excellent me. Excellent me. Excellent, I say. So, anyways, hello and welcome, VOD watchers and live watchers and all. It's time for definitely a short stream this time, right? Right. Anywho's this VOD slash this stream is going to be about. I'm gonna do a good old questions stream. I'm not even that in the mood to stream honestly today. But we're a few days away, right? We're 2 days and 44 minutes away. That's till the banners go away. That's slightly more than that until the actual patch is live. But anyways, 4.4 is almost here. I'm rambling already. And if you got questions, it's time to ask them. I've done a couple of streams like this before, and doing it again because we'll see. So, anyways, hello. And I'll probably comment on the drama because I figure probably at least one person cares about my thoughts on the drama. Which, I haven't really said my thoughts on the drama yet in a video or on my Discord server. I think to any meaningful degree at least. And the reason for that is because I think the drama is really dumb. I think there are plenty of things worth getting potentially up in arms about Genshin, and trying to demand that Hoyoverse improve and fix about the game, and the amount of free wishes is not one of them. It is like not even, if I was going to make a top 10 list, which, I mean, this is just something I'm saying off the top of my head, I'm not going to actually make a top 10 list, but if I was going to make a top 10 list of things I'd want to see changed about Genshin, the amount of wishes they give for free is probably not in that list. Just saying. So, yeah, I might ramble about that more, but that's basically the long and short of my thoughts on the drama. It's really dumb, and the fact that the Genshin player base seems to be this upset over the free wishes, and they don't get upset over the things that I think are more sensible to get upset by. Like, I don't know, if we're gonna complain about things related to the gacha system, let's actually demand and get very upset about the way that you acquire 4-star characters, and demand that they fix that instead. That's a far bigger issue, in my opinion, than the amount of free wishes. So anyways, I'm already getting mad. Point is, yeah, drama's dumb. I'll talk more about the drama later. Who did choose for Lanterite? Oh, that's a good question. See, this is already a question I didn't expect to answer, so I wish you could sort by leeway. Jeff made a really good video on this, by the way. So, you know what, here, I'm probably gonna need a browser at some point in this stream anyways to show different things. So, let's just see. Do a new private window, go to youtube.com, find Mr. Zjeff's. So Zjeff, I think it a daily. It might have been a Zjeff daily video, which is technically a channel I noticed. By the way, it's not run by Zjeff, which is a missed opportunity on Zjeff's part because Zjeff daily has a lot of views. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Zjeff daily. Was it even a Zjeff video? I don't even remember, man. Yeah, it was. It was from like a week and a half ago. Okay, yeah, there we go. Oh, I paused the game, didn't I? There we go. I stopped the music in the background, whatever. I'm kind of delaying a little bit to let more people join the stream, if it's not obvious. I mean, it's mostly accidental, but it's also on purpose. That's my excuse. But yeah, anyways, Zjeff77, this is like the main Genshin creator that I actually watch to any meaningful consistency anymore, because even though like most of the technical things he says, I generally speaking understand myself now, so I don't really need his content to help me anymore. He still can sometimes say things that are different opinions from mine, different views on the game, that I think is good for trying to diversify my point of view. And anyways, this video is very good. He has a 24-minute video that goes over the 4 stars. If you want me to summarize that for you, I basically would describe it as, right, so if you are at the notable things, right, is that Xingqiu and his constellations are very good. So there's a very strong case to be made for choosing any of his constellations. If you don't have Yao at all, Yao might be a very good choice, depending on like if you have Baiju or their Dendro healers. Yao is not the best character to select necessarily, but if you don't have her at all, she's a good choice. But chances are, there's a good chance you have her C0, right? She's shown up on enough banners at this point. If you have her C0, her constellations are irrelevant, so Yao is not a very common choice. Xiangling, if it's going to get you to C4 or get you close to C4, is probably worth getting. C4 Xiangling is something you will very likely want eventually, barring, the future circumstance of them, releasing characters that might replace Xiangling's functionality. It seems to be they're not heading that direction, though. They seem to really, the Hoyoverse seems to really not want to release, relevant off-field pyro characters that are good at enabling reactions. So, point is, we'll see. Maybe Alakino will be an off-field pyro polearm character that will replace some of Xiangling's functionality in some form. I am not optimistic about that, and therefore I think she's still going to be a character worthwhile to invest into for a long time, and C4 is a very, very big difference maker. My general experience with Xiangling is that, I don't even think she's really worth using that much until you have her C4. She feels very different, and teams with and without her C4 that rely on her in some meaningful way feel notably different. The degree to which will depend on the team, obviously, but it's a very important constellation. And like I made a video today about C6 Bennett. In my opinion, C6 Bennett is the best constellation in Genshin Impact. I do believe that. The constellation that I would probably say on an objective level is the second best is probably Xiangling C4. And by nature of Xiangling being in the shop, by nature of the Xiangling being free, the first copy of Xiangling being free, it's not that hard to acquire Xiangling C4. It's much easier to get Xiangling C4 than any other C4 in the game, right? So it's something you should try to get eventually. And it's in this C4, if you've played for a year and bought the shop Xianglings, it's more equivalent to acquiring a C1 of a new 4-star is what I would describe the difficulty as, but even potentially less difficult because Xiangling shows up on banners all the dang time. So, anyways, and that's all I can say about that as far as Xiangling goes. The other leeway 4-stars would be, obviously if you really like a particular character, right? If you absolutely adore Ningguang for whatever reason, you don't have Ningguang or want a particular constellation, don't let me stop you. But she's not the most valuable choice. And Beidou can be a relevant choice, I'd say, particularly if it gets you to C2. C2 Beidou is a meaningfully useful defensive unit in the game. She's kind of forever on my I intend to build her list and try to utilize her and give her some appreciation because I think she's one of the better 4-stars and less appreciated 4-stars in the game. And I still haven't built her because priorities of other characters, I keep doing silly things like DPS Charlotte or whatever. that ends up taking priority over a unit like Beidou. So, anyways, eventually. However, just release an Electro Infuser or something, and maybe I'll do it. She is a Claymore though, so her multipliers are high. What is her? So I'm thinking Thundering Fury. Can I do 4-piece Thundering Fury with Cloud Retainer and C6 Bennett? Let's go to Amber. And what do I have for Beidou constellations? I have C6. Okay, good. Let's look up Beidou, and I'm just checking her multipliers. Talent. Normal attack multipliers. That's level 15. That is not possible. Level 10 is 368%. Okay, so she's got... yeah, that's the standard. I should have known that off the top of my head. I've been doing enough things with Cloud Retainer that I should know that. So yeah, 368% plunge attack, high plunge multiplier. Level 10 is the standard multiplier for Claymores, and that's very high. And I don't know, the only weird thing is for Claymore units, it's not necessarily as relevant. Sorry, not for Claymore. For the Electro units, the multipliers aren't necessarily as relevant if you're doing aggravate things, but if I'm infusing with Pyro, then she's functionally a vape/overload DPS. I can do some shenanigans, is my point. I don't know, eventually. But Beidou's underappreciated. If you don't have her C2 is the big difference maker that makes her properly useful in AoE situations. She has less value in single target situations. But she's still a properly decent unit as far as her generic defensive utility goes. I think she's a better defensive unit than a lot of healers is what I would describe it as. Not just because of her shield, but also because she gives you interruption resistance and then reduces the damage you take as well. Like this is at talent level 4. She reduces by 24%, right? So, anyways, what other Leeway characters? Need Yaoyao DPS in my life? I'll probably do it eventually. The problem with Yaoyao DPS is she's a Dendro character, and that means she needs to be level 90 if you really want to DPS her. Like, her talent levels barely matter, but her level does, and leveling a character to 90 is a lot of resources. I'll be honest, I've been, because of the fact that I'm making, you know, to justify doing videos like that, like DPS Yaoyao that require level 90 in a character, I have been tempted to start doing 1 resin refresh a day, right? So, like, using my daily's worth of resin, of Primo Gems to do a resin refresh, because the basic math of that is that can let me like fully level another character per month, just by doing 1 resin refresh a day. And it's not something I don't think anyone should resin refresh, personally, but in my case, because I'm doing it for content, it might actually just make sense on a business level, so I can, you know, make more videos. Anyways, other Leeway characters. Xingqiu, I mentioned, is obviously good. His notable strong constellations, I guess I should specify. C1 is, C2 is quite good, and other than that, C4 is not bad, to be clear. This is part of what makes him, like, a particularly decent nuke unit. But switch to this, and C6 is his notable one, so I'd say C2 and C6 are his most notable ones for the most normal use cases for Xingqiu, but if you don't have Xingqiu at all, he's also a very strong choice, obviously. He's very good at C0. And Ningguang is probably no unless you really like her. Xianyun, probably no unless you really, really like her. really, really like her. Like, if you like Xianyun as much as I like Dia, maybe you choose Xianyun. Yanfei, she's not bad, and one nice thing with the state of like pyro carries right now is you can do something like a core of Yelan and Farina plus, you know, flex slot for your buffer like Sucrose or whatever, right? And wham blam, guess what? Your pyro carry is going to be pretty good, and well, the team is going to be pretty good by nature of having 2 off-field DPSs that are strong on their own, right? And the pyro carry you use almost hardly matters. So if you like Yanfei, but she doesn't have crazy value other than I'd say her C4 is one of the more interesting constellations in the game. For anyone that doesn't know, this constellation, when you use her burst, she creates a shield that absorbs 45% of her HP. That's a very tanky shield, and it's interesting. The only problem is she doesn't have any constellations that refund energy, and on top of that, she has an 80 energy cost. So you have a problem of like you're using a supportive unit with an 80 energy cost that doesn't generate a ton of energy for herself, and like if you do something like use Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers on Yanfei, can I go to her equipment screen? If you use something like Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, which has an HP substat, right? Where is it? There it is, right? 32% HP at level 80. This is not even fully leveled. And then when you swap off of Yanfei, right? So you like switch to Yanfei, use her burst, blah, blah, blah. You get a big attack buff and you get a really big shield. She can actually be a properly good defensive unit with that. It's just a problem of energy. So, like, she needs so much energy that you're potentially not going to be able to use Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, right? And that's annoying. So, I don't know. It's just something to mention, though, because we don't really have a ton of options for good shielders, in my opinion, that are 4 stars. And I think she's, like, for the amount of shielding she does, it's pretty good. Like, Layla has big problems in how her shield functions. Kirara is decent, I would describe. But she has problems in that, like, her Dendro application isn't that useful, in my opinion. Unless you're using her as, like, an on-field, but that's, like, a very specific, you need to be able to justify her on-field time to get extra Dendro application out of her, and it's, like, so, yeah, it's like, it's kind of weird, basically, is all it is. So it's interesting. I wouldn't necessarily specifically choose Yanfei C4 over other constellations, like, if you can get progress towards Xingqiu C6, or progress towards Xiangling C4, or you choose Gaming for free, right? Because if you're particularly, I think a lot of people are just going to choose Gaming because he's very fun. He looks very fun. He might feel crap in practice, I don't know. Gaming is definitely one of those characters that it's hard for me to properly evaluate without actually playing him, I think. So, on like a numbers level, he's fine, even at C0, which is cool. So, is there any other 4-stars? Oh, Yunjin. I really like Yunjin, but she is relatively niche in her buffing utility. She does have pretty decent constellations, which is nice. So, like, if you don't care about Gaming, and you have, C6 of every other Liyue 4-star, she's not a bad one to get. I think for how a lot of people enjoy playing the game, I think Yunjin is kind of a perfect buffer for a lot of players. She's not necessarily the ideal choice for making optimal teams, to be clear, but she's good. At basically just, if you're I think a surprisingly high number of players just go around this game, do an exploration. Do I have dailies to do? Go around this game, do an exploration, and just whack in normal attacks constantly on their characters, right? And Yunjin is a character perfect for that kind of playstyle. So, like Kekfin made a comment on my C6 Bennett video today being like, I got a beef with you. It was joking, to be clear. He was jokingly being like, I got a beef with you because C6 Bennett interferes with physical kooky. And, like, if you want to do physical kooky, use Yunjin. I don't know. So, anyways. Anyone else? I think I forgot. Let me double check before I move on. Double checking any other questions I missed. Let's see. Mika. No, he's not Liyue. And he's also not someone you should choose anyways. Mika's, I think, the only 4-star I don't have in the game right now, and I don't care. I am completely fine with that. Yeah. Why did I do that? I just bungled that Liyue. Leave it default. Okay. Liyue. Oh, Xianyun. I don't know. Cryofusion is interesting, but Xianyun doesn't do enough, is the long and short, to make him worth using. I talked about Xianyun in my C6 Bennett video, so it's unlikely you should really choose him, but again, if you really like him. I think that's it. I think I mentioned everyone, right? Yeah, Gaming is going to be my choice, right, to be clear, because, well, unless I get C6 somehow when wishing for Xianyun, but the long and short is that I have all the relevant constellations already. Right? I have C6 Yunjin. I have C6 Xiangling, specifically C4 Xiangling. And I have C6 Xingqiu. I have all the Liyue constellations other than Yao Yao's constellations, which Yao Yao constellations not that useful. And I mean, this is not useless, to be clear. C1 Yao Yao is interesting. If I get C6 Gaming somehow, then I'll probably choose Yao Yao, I guess. But anyways, you get the point. I got all the Liyue. I got all the Liyue 4-stars already on my account. So for me, it's not exactly a hard choice. But yeah, watch that Jeff video is my suggestion. He does a good job like going over the individual characters one by one more in depth than I just mentioned there. But yeah, I'd say the list of priorities would be Xiangling, C4, some Xingqiu constellations, Yao Yao potentially if you don't have her, and then Gaming if you just want to have fun with a new 4-star that's relatively competent, but he's not going to be anything insane at C0 for like total damage up or anything. He's just going to be potentially a fun, competent option for a pyro carry. My Yunjin stats, sure. I probably need to convert her to 2-piece emblem, 2-piece husk. People recommend 4-piece husk for her. I think because of the fact that you could use her in a lot of situations where she might be solo Geo. One big downside is like she feels a lot worse to use without an R5 Fav Lance, I would say, and she's annoying to build. Like that is a big downside to Yunjin, to be clear. So, this is my build, and it works quite well with 230 ER on 4-piece husk with 30% crit rate. Right, it's a pretty near ideal build. My build on Polearms only is better as far as buffing goes, but actually has a little bit more energy issues because I have a lower refined Fav on her, and I'm I think a little bit less ER if I recall, but it's usually fine mostly. So anyways, yeah, yeah, so okay, let me scroll back through comments because I probably missed about 100 of them. Oh god, there's so many. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna scan through them very fastly. Is there any question that catches my interest? If you think something I missed something that's relevant, feel free to ask again. We should demand better than web matter. Yes, I agree. So I'll talk about the drama probably more later. Is that your actual birthday? Because if it is, that's pretty cool. What do I have my birthday set as? Oh, 2/28. That is not my actual birthday. I'll just tell you what my birthday is. It's February 29th. I don't know why I set it for February 28th. Oh, I know why I set it for February 28th, because when I started playing the game, it was a year when I didn't have a birthday, and I was like, okay, this game has birthday rewards. What do I'm gonna put my birthday as February 28th, because I started playing this game in January, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna put my birthday as February 28th, because I know from experience that there's occasionally like oversights, right? And like if this game gives birthday rewards and I put my birthday as February 29th into Genshin, but my birthday doesn't actually exist this year, then the game might never give me the birthday rewards. I don't know if that's actually the case, but it's just like, just in case, put it not on February 29th. So yeah, my birthday is February 29th, and I actually have a birthday this year. So yeah, the Jeff Daily, it says in the community, or the like this channel description page, it says it is unofficial. So there's someone raking in a decent amount of ad revenue off of the Jeff's content just by editing the streams. To be clear, they do like meaningful effort. Like if I was in that, if someone was editing my streams down and making money off of it, I'd be like, I mean, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna go to the effort of adding my own freaking streams down. So, yeah, more power to you. Like, functionally, that person has done the hard work of taking Zajeff's like streams and turning them into like competent edited videos and condensed videos with a concept. And yeah, Zajeff Daily is a good way to experience Zajeff without having to watch Zajeff live, which is cool. What did I just alt tab there? So yeah, I'll talk about HSR comparing. I'll talk about HSR when it comes to the drama later. So
no one's joined me on an adventure in ages. Come on,
let's go. So Jeff has decent takes with some issues with some technical details about characters he doesn't play. I think he's great for people who want to learn more, but once you know what's going on, I listen to him less. Yes, I agree. He very much helped like form my own views and help me learn about a lot of things in Genshin, but I don't feel like I need him anymore to learn certain things. I just still watch some of his stuff to diversify and make sure like I didn't miss something obvious. And oftentimes there's some minor little things he'll mention that I still am like, oh yep, I'm dumb and I didn't think about that, right? So it's still good. I still like his stuff, but yeah. Summoning for Yai, so I'd wait for banner characters before choosing. Yeah, if you're summoning for, yeah, if you're potentially, where's my mouse, by the way? If, you know, it's Yai, right? No, wait. Oh, so when the event comes out, I don't know what exactly the timing is for when you can choose the character. I don't know, depending on what banner, right? Depending on what banners you wish on, obviously, you know, you might want to wait for the 4 stars on the banner to decide on the Lantern Right Selector, depending on what character you're planning on wishing on. But keep in mind, I don't know what the exact timing is of when the Leeway selector will be, when you'll be able to choose the 4-star relative to what banners are currently running, right? Because it's possible that the banner for Yai might not even start by the time that like the Leeway Lantern Right selector ends. I'm not sure. So, nothing can make me less excited for Gaming a new area. Y'all can stay mad at and molding for no reason. Yeah, I know, right? I'm really looking forward to 4.4. I really like Fontaine exploration initially, but I suspect I'm gonna like, you know, I think Chenyu Vale is like in this general area. I suspect I'm gonna like this area a lot more than Fontaine. It's given me Chasm vibes from the very little I've seen from it, but I haven't actually looked at that much leaf stuff from exploration because I'd like to just experience it for myself. It'll be made or break. It'll be make or break based on the general experience of you know, going through and exploring it, to be clear. But I think condensed areas with their own specific idea to them, like Dragon Spine, Chasm, Well, more specifically, the underground chasm, and what's it called? Enkonomia are some of the high points of Genshin's like exploration, in my opinion. So I look forward to it quite a lot. And yeah, as far as Gaming goes and Cloud Retainer, I think they're Gaming. I don't know. I'm not even gonna build Gaming right away because resources. But Cloud Retainer is going to be my favorite character that I probably will never blanket recommend to anyone, but she's probably going to be one of my favorite characters, is my guess. But anyways, it's just going to be one of my favorite characters because of C6 Bennett, probably. Okay, let me scroll through things. Have I tried TF Kazuha, like Thundering Fury Kazuha? Yes, but I have C1 Kazuha, so Thundering Fury Kazuha is relatively pointless. The main reason to do Thundering Fury Kazuha is you can put 4-piece Thundering Fury in Kazuha, whether it be like a DPS build or otherwise. And so that'd be something that's like interesting with C6 Bennett potentially. And you can functionally achieve Kazuha's C1 without having a C1 with Thundering Fury. If you do things correctly. It's a very interesting, fun way to play Kazuha, but it's there's functionally no benefit to it because of C1, which is a little bit goofy, right? Because Thundering Fury Kazuha requires using his burst to trigger additional electro reactions, and then by the time you get out of his burst animation, if you did things right, your skill cooldown should be back if you did things right with 4-piece TF. No TikTok gameplay. Oh yeah, the TikTok gameplay in the C6 Bennett video, to be clear, which was like gameplay from Tiny Wings, was an experiment for two things. One, for the people that are like, no, you talk too much, stop rambling and whatever. Like, I'm sorry, it's just what my videos are. And so there's experimentation to see if those kind of people like that, right? And I think some people do like it. It's just weird because like, the reason I tried different things and experiment with different minor things is because when people give me feedback for things, it's usually like feedback like, why did you do this? Or, I don't like this. And it's like not constructive in any way. That's like, okay, do you have ideas for like what would be better? Nope, nobody does that. So I'm left to basically just experiment and guess at what people like or do not like, because when people say they don't like or like something, of the 3,000 people that watched the Bennett video, I have 2 or 3 comments about the stupid mobile game in the corner. Maybe 2,000 of 3,000 people liked it, and then only 3 people that commented are the specific people that didn't like it. I'm guessing it's higher than that because there's people probably that chose to stop watching the video and didn't leave a comment too, right? So like, I just kind of gauge it. Point is, it was an experiment, and my guess was that it was something that I was not going to continue with, but I wanted to experiment with regardless once, and that's what I did. Since it was a very talky, rambly video, I figured it was the obvious opportunity to try it. I was also sneakily trying to experiment in a secondary manner. The reason I specifically chose that game, Tiny Wings, is because Tiny Wings is my favorite mobile game, and I actually want to make a whole video about Tiny Wings. But so I was trying to like sneakily gauge to see if like anyone saw that and was like, wow, that game looks really fun. What is it? Or whatever, like that. But no one has said that yet. So if I make a Tiny Wings video, it'll probably be on a different channel. Anyways. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the chat. I don't think I went through scroll through the chat. I probably missed something. So, any other specific questions about Xianyun or Gaming? If you want my, I guess we'll wait for people. If you want my generalized thoughts, so like if you were on my Discord server at all, what am I doing by the way? Let's go do like something. If you want my generalized thoughts, so Gaming is relatively simple. So at low constellations, he's fine. He's a perfectly competent DPS. And where did I come up here? I think I went to go... Yeah, I meant to go over here. He's perfectly competent at C0. Like, you can get use out of him at C0, which is, for a C0 DPS, is good. I mean, they've been doing a good job lately at making... I mean, well, okay, the record is 2, in my opinion. Chevreuse is a very competent C0 4-star, and I think Gaming, for what each of these characters is intended to be from Hoyo versus what they made the character to be used for, I think is good. Charlotte, I don't think is very good. Like, she's not useless, to be clear. I just don't think she's very good. And Fremine, I also don't think is very good at low constellations either. I think he has, I mean, even with high constellations, I think he has problems. He's very weird. He's very, very interesting. I appreciate what they tried with him, but he definitely falls in the category of, seems like they didn't want him to be good, so they made some fairly specific decisions with him because they didn't want him to be good. And that's my vibe I got of him. And Gaming seems to be, they wanted him to be good, so they made some specific decisions to try to make him good, and like his animations are fantastic. He looks super fun to play, so I look forward to trying him. I'm probably not going to invest heavily into him because he doesn't necessarily, he's got the same problem any like on-field damage dealer is going to have, right? Wherein they're only as interesting to you, or they're only as useful as long as you're good lord, I can't speak. An on-field DPS is only as useful to you as long as you still want to play them, right? And he looks super fun, but the question is like, okay, how quickly will I get bored of him? Because that's what determines how worthwhile it is to invest X amount of resources into him, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. So, I don't know. I am definitely going to play around with him. I'll probably level him to level 70 at least, because level 70 is not that hard to do. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. And C6 Gaming versus like C0, C1 low constellation Gaming is very different. C6 Gaming in particular is a very big potential damage increase to him. He becomes a much more competent DPS that could be potentially used in, you know, with less strong supportive units, I would describe it as, and be competent. But a nice thing about the current state of Genshin is like we have such strong supportive options that you can kind of make anyone work, particularly pyro carries, and that's why like the C6 Bennett formula is potentially so competent, is because you can do C6 Bennett plus any melee DPS plus, you know, Elan Farina, and wham blam, you got a team that can clear Abyss. The specific nuances of how good that team is versus a different team is obviously depends on the team. It's not necessarily something that's optimal to do, but ultimately, if you're clearing the content, the only freaking endgame content in the game, we'll talk more about this later, then, you know, if you're clearing Abyss with the team, it doesn't matter. That's my stance I take. Like, yes, you can be someone who likes clearing as fast as possible, but fundamentally, if you can clear the content, it does not matter if one team is better than the other, as far as what they include in the game for thresholds to reach. Did I select a new thing? So, anyways, if you really, really like Gaming, like, yes, C6 Gaming is better. On the upside, if you do have to do that, if you are feeling like you're going to pull for Gaming constellations, which I don't recommend, 4 stars suck to acquire. We'll probably talk about that more when I rant about the drama. Cloud Retainer is a really good support for him. So, you know, there's upsides, right? Where is this on the map? Over here. Okay. So yeah, Gaming is in phase 1 with on Cloud Retainer's banner. So yeah, and by the way, like I wished I was gonna make this into its own video. I was gonna do another Chevreuse video, but I decided to not make it because it was too similar to my other my Chevreuse video for Polearm Zolnant. I was just like, the only difference was I was basically using C6 Bennett and doing a poor man's Hu Tao Chevreuse. And it was very fun, to be clear, but point is I ended up wishing for more Chevreuse constellations at the end of that video, and I went too far in, but hey, I got my C4 Chevreuse on my main account, and the long and short was like I decided to take the risk of wishing for risking my pity that I built up to get C4 Chevreuse, because I really, really like Chevreuse is super fun to me, and C4 Chevreuse enables her to be played in different ways, I would say. Is the most notable constellation that enables her to be played in teams that aren't just like her overload teams. Before C4, I don't think she's really worth being played outside of her overload context, but and it's not like, oh my god, she's an insane DPS with her C4 or anything. She's just fun. She's just a more fun character to play around with her C4. So, you know, and I play this game for fun, Subi. And, you know, so I wanted the thing that makes it fun to me, and I had the ability to acquire it, so I risked it. I really would have preferred to lose the 50-50, but I didn't. So I have C1 Raiden now, which is a bit oof. And I have 40 pity and, you know, 50 wishes. Or, well, more like 70 wishes. So I either have to win a 50-50 or get an early. Surely that won't be a problem, right? So, nah. That might have been a mistake, but we'll see. It's content, I guess. Gaming is not cons reliant. He's good at C0. I didn't say he's constellation reliant. One thing I think that's really good about him is that he is competent at C0, but he's a much better character with C6 than without C6. C6 is a notable increase to his damage output. Ow. And that's all it really is. Is this the only one alive? Yeah, okay. Why does this dude so tanky? Is he immune to something? Oh, he's immune to Electro, isn't he? Okay. Well, yeah, that'll cause some problems, I suppose. Guess we charge attack it. All things were taking too long to kill. Four-piece gilded Fremine. I mean, I'm assuming you're doing melt Fremine. It's probably fairly competent. So, would Plunge DPS Dia with Cloud Retainer and C6 Benny be our new best team? Oh, I don't know if there's going to be a whole video about that, but sadly, yeah. So, the funny thing about doing, you know, Plunge DPS Dia with Cloud Retainer and Bennett is I do think it's probably going to be Dia's best team. The main problem is it just, like, ignores the entirety of, like, Dia. It's basically the, okay, let's ignore the entirety of Dia's kit other than the fact that she's a Claymore. This is just like, okay, yeah, it's good. It's probably gonna be actually her most competent and consistently performing team, at least for single target damage. It's just technically not gonna really make use out of Dia any more than, like, functionally any other Claymore character does. It is the goofy aspect to it. See, this is why C4 Shivers is fun. I got lucky with Shivers C6. I would love to justify going for Shivers C6, but I'm already 40 pity and I can't risk anymore. I'll get her C6 eventually. Her C6 is not vital to me on this account. So, anywho's, literally anyone with C6 Farazan is fun as hell. Yeah, I've already decided that the next time C6 Farazan runs, I'm getting her. Or the next time C6 Farazan runs. I wish just C6 Farazan ran. The next time Farazan runs in general. Please, you know what? Like, there was a leak that Xiao's banner, that in Xiao's trial, sorry. So, lately they've been, you know, putting more characters that just aren't, you know, cope-free characters on trials for characters so that they can, like, show them actually functioning. Wild, right? In their trials, and apparently Farazan is supposedly in Xiao's trial now, which gives me the faintest of hopes that they're going to run Farazan without her being on Wander's banner, and maybe, just maybe, Farazan will run on the Xiao and Yai banner. And I can tell you, Farazan running on Yai's banner is the only way I wind up with more Yai constellations, because I'm not going to justify going for any more Yai constellations unless I get a very relevant 4-star on the banner, which for me is basically just Farazan right now. But Farazan is one of those enablers for me, Farazan C6. And I want to make videos related to Farazan specifically, and also just utilizing Farazan to do things. Just, for example, you know, charge attack Sucrose. I recently got C4 Sucrose. C4, or so just normal attack, charge attack, DPS Sucrose seems super fun to me. And Farazan, she has, like, not terrible, my Sucrose is not leveled up talents, right? But she has not garbage multipliers, so when you factor in Farazan C6 to the equation, Sucrose can output meaningful animo damage, and that seems fun, right? So just things as simple as that, right? I want Farazan for. She's one of those enablers. And she's also just a very competent character outside of the context of with Wander specifically. So, anyways. No, don't risk it, lol. Oh, it's not about a risk to me. It's a business decision. Farazan C6 is a business decision to me at this point. That's all that it comes down to, I'll be honest. I'm just crossing my fingers that, you know, she reruns, that Farazan gets a rerun either, like, on Yai's better, or, I don't know, on, like Shenhe is a character I wouldn't mind having if, like, Wander and Shenhe rerun in 4.5 or something. And I'd accept that too, but we'll see. Anywho's, will I ever do an account review just for C6ing Bennett on that account? I mean, my version of account reviews is going to be like the reviewing, or sorry, the account fixing things. Did I finish? I think I did finish all 3 things. Oh, you know what? We can do resin. So, anywho's. Did I miss any obvious questions? Did you just get C6 Cloud Retainer? Yeah. I mean, there's a non-zero chance that you get C6 Cloud Retainer before you get C6 Gaming, because that's how 4 stars be. Why did I go? Oh, yeah. Okay. My favorite teams with Cloud Retainer. Well, I don't know what my favorite teams are going to be. Because I don't have her yet, believe it or not. I do not live in the future. But I think most likely, I think Cloud Retainer is going to give me my favorite way to play on field Yai, right? Yai has a decent plunge attack multiplier, and notably, I think she's going to become much better at triggering Dendro cores, and also she's just going to get really big aggravates. Like from the calcs I did with the Cloud Retainer, with what's it called, the Osworn Eye, I think. Yeah, with this weapon, right? I did calcs with this. I think I should get in the 60 to 70k neighborhood of plunge damage on the eye. On top of, potential, on top of that being potentially AoE if I'm just doing aggravate, or being able to trigger in an AoE that I can control, triggering Dendro cores. I'm playing with Farina, for example, and that I suspect would be very fun. Other than that, just the template of doing C6 Bennett plus Cloud Retainer is going to be a team format that I'm going to use fairly often whenever I want to just, make someone a competent DPS. There are times where I will not do that, right? So, just for example, where be the lady? So, Charlotte, for example, if you want to DPS Charlotte, doing plunge DPS Charlotte is probably, with Cloud Retainer, is probably a fairly competent way to do a DPS Charlotte. The only problem I have with that, I have no idea why she has these artifacts. The only problem with that is the thing I like about Charlotte is doing her, right, doing her picture taking animation. So like, I'm not gonna do plunge DPS Charlotte because the specific thing that I like about DPS Charlotte is doing this, right? This is what I like about DPS Charlotte. So anything that goes against doing this is not what I'm gonna do, even if doing plunge DPS is better. So yeah, that's all there is to that. So that's like not a team I'm going to like, but I don't know, she's gonna be very interesting. If you want to boil down my thoughts on Cloud Retainer, who did I have in the team here official? If you want to boil down my thoughts on Cloud Retainer, it's relatively simple in that if you think about like some people are calling her niche, right? And I myself call her niche to a degree, and the reason I find it hard to like recommend her on the level is because she's not really good at doing things I would like want. Like as far as like being a generic animal healer goes, I think Jean has more upsides to be and more reasons to be used over Cloud Retainer. There's some upsides that Cloud Retainer has as an animal healer, but I like Jean more as a baseline Animo healer for the things that Animo does well, right? But anyway, so if you look at Cloud Retainer, right, and you're just like, okay, she's a niche plunge buffer. That doesn't seem super relevant, except for the difference maker between her being a niche plunge buffer and someone like Shenhe, who's a niche cryo buffer, is that Cloud Retainer enables other characters to plunge, right? Like it's like her giving a big plunge damage bonus and making it so that you can take advantage of her plunge damage bonus on any character in the game is a very big difference from Shenhe, who is, gives a big damage increase to cryo DPSs, but doesn't turn characters into cryo DPSs, right? Like it'd be the equivalent of Shenhe having a cryo imbue, like slapping Chongyun's kit into Shenhe's kit, right? And Shenhe now gives a cryo infusion, which means suddenly, other characters can take advantage, other non-cryo characters can take advantage of Shenhe's cryo buff. Shenhe would be a wildly more interesting character if that were the case, and that's why I think she's really interesting. You know what? I should have checked if I have to do any farming for Cloud Retainer real quick, because it's a Sunday. I don't think I do. I think I've already finished, but I will... this is basically useless for me. I actually got a really good onset goblin earlier this week. So, anyways, Cloud Retainer enabling, right? She's a plunge buff is niche, but she also inherently enables her niche if she's on the team. So I don't know. Like as far as like recommending her, I can't recommend her necessarily, but she's also someone that's like perfect for me. She's a character that enables me to do more new fun things. And she gives a competent buff. I don't love how her single target buff works, mostly because it's single target, and I think it's going to create awkward situations. And I really don't think the game has a lot of options for like competent single target teams, and I think generally speaking, teams that are buffs in general that would work in AOE are more scalable and more potentially useful. But as far as like satisfaction from the number you'll see, Cloud Retainer will do that at the very least. And again, she enables her gimmick, so I think it's a perfectly fine trade-off, honestly, having thought about it more. What was I going to look at? Oh, yeah, Cloud Retainer. So I think I already finished farming for this weapon. I'm just double-checking since it's a Sunday here. Oh, crap. I don't... So the only reason I haven't leveled this at a 90 yet is because I will probably end up doing a 10 pull on the Cloud Retainer weapon banner. The Cloud Retainer's weapon is niche. What is happening? Weird. Okay, my brain just deleted itself after that happened. Cloud Retainer's weapon is niche. Like, Cloud Retainer's weapon is only relevant for Cloud Retainer. I want to emphasize that. Like, it's not what I want to see them do for weapons in the game. But for Cloud Retainer, it makes a lot of sense. It's a very good weapon for Cloud Retainer. But it also definitely feels like one of those weapons that, like, hey, we gave this character a very expensive burst, and the main annoying thing about building them is reaching their energy needs. Hey, look, there's a 5-star weapon that conveniently reduces energy needs. And, like, I hate this design. It's good that the 5-star weapon is useful, but also, like, what? Anyways, it gives a team-wide plunging damage bonus too, which synergizes very well with her, and that's what makes me like it more. But it's I don't know how I feel about the weapon, basically. That Cloud Retainer's weapon is one of the reasons why I'm not doing much weapons only anymore, is because they keep on releasing these niche weapons that are not useful outside of for one specific character, right? So, yeah, Cloud Retainer's weapon says, you use this on Cloud Retainer, and it will probably forever say that. So, yeah, unfortunate, but I don't know how far is on C6. Do you use her or Bennett and Xiao Farina Xianyun? Probably Farazan. You probably have enough animal particles that Farazan's ER is not insane. But I'd say it comes down to if you need Bennett somewhere else too. I think having Bennett in the team is probably... I don't know. I really don't know whether or not you use a non-C6 Farazan. The difference is you get a slight attack buff and then the resistance decrease, right? You get the 30% res decrease from Farazan. It's just... this character's a different character without C6. And, yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I would lean towards whatever one you have built, and depending on whatever one you want to use on the other side of Abyss. I see. She has Aqua for some reason. Because it matches her. Did Hoyo announce the 4.4 banner? I don't think so. I wish they did. No, they did not. Okay. Right? Yeah, no. Okay. I don't have much use for Cloud Retainer right now because she looks like Bayonetta, yeah. She does indeed. Oh yeah, the other thing would be talents. I think I'm good on talents. I think I finished that yesterday. Cloud Retainer needs Philosophies of Gold, if I recall. I really don't like that they, keep doing this crap with the battle pass, right? Like, I buy the battle pass so I can level up more characters, and then, they're like, let's release leeway characters that use the leeway rewards every single year. But, like, you can't get the leeway rewards from the freaking battle pass, so it just becomes more annoying to farm these characters. Just, like, why? Why, Mahoyo? First world problem to have, and first world Genshin problem. But... because it's a problem caused by buying the battle pass. It's just weird that they don't just give you a choice. Oh yeah, talent wise, the only really relevant talent, unless you're doing DPS Cloud Retainer, like crit DPS, is her burst. So yeah, I have enough to get her burst to level 8, so I'm good. All right, good. Did they always announce banners this late? I don't know. I thought they normally did earlier too. So, yes, they did announce that Xiao and Yai are the second half. So it's Nahida and Cloud Retainer first half. I kind of would have thought they would have ran Yai with Cloud Retainer, specifically because it would have made for a better weapon banner. But, you know, they didn't, so whatever. Right now, emerge. I bungled this a little bit. I want to make sure. I want to do things better. I need to make sure they don't jump away. Okay. It hurts the unbuilt queen. I mean, she's C0, so, you know. Sorry. I'll build Varzon eventually. She's definitely on the list. Like I said, it's a business decision for me once she reruns to get her C6. Cool. Quality artifacts. Oh, you want something that really annoyed me? I've been strongboxing for VV because I needed an attack percent circlet for Cloud Retainer. I'm basically just going to steal my gene artifacts for Cloud Retainer, right? Most of the time, Cloud Retainer wants to be in VV. And so like, hey, this is pretty decent for her. You mostly just need ER, right, in substat. And then any attack percent in the Flower and Feather is kind of nice. Say a bunch of attack percent ER, perfect. And then my genes use an off-piece timepiece. Hey, 22% ER with some crit rate and some flat attack. Hey, not bad. And then I got a VV attack percent goblet on with a bunch of ER. Perfect. And then I got a circlet. Needed a circlet, right? Because my gene is using a healing bonus circlet, which I want an attack percent circlet for Cloud Retainer's buff. And I got an attack percent circlet that was 4-line with ER. And I was like, holy crap, sweet game. Thanks. It's not going to take me 10 years to get this. And it didn't roll a single time into ER. It rolled twice into HP, once into defense percent, and twice into EM. Ooh, like, thanks game, I appreciate that. So this is going to get fed into the literal first circlet that I see that has ER. That's attack percent with ER. I would be farming VV if it weren't for the fact that I don't need maintenance pieces. So, you know, strongbox it is. I'll have a functional build regardless of that circlet rolling well. It's just annoying. I have good pieces otherwise. I don't have an onset attack percent piece that has ER either. Okay, I didn't get my burst back. I have not done proper rotation, so yeah, I thought they normally did it a week before. Emerge. Die, please. I normally play this team with Xianyun. This team, I'd say, on average, feels better with Xianyun than it does with Bennett. But Bennett has some upsides if you play better. And I am not playing better. Quality artifacts. So yeah, Cloud Retainer. I really like her. I think she's going to be one of my favorite characters. It's kind of all it comes down to for me at this point. Is she going to be the best character for everyone? Absolutely not. Her generic value as an animal unit is not very high, in my opinion. But if you're someone who just likes having fun with different silly teams, I think Cloud Retainer is a potentially very good option for you. That's basically what I would say. If you happen to get her by accident because you just really want Gaming or something, I think she's not a bad one to just have as a generic option. It's not really useful to me, but I'll lock it. I don't really have these pieces with much ER, so it's fine. It's fine. Well, I do, but it's on Farina. I want Farina C6. Does anybody know if it scales on her normal attack talent? No. Farina C6 has its own separate thing. So it specifically says it deals, damage equal to her HP. This is just a set rate. This doesn't add into her talent or anything. If it scaled with her talent, it would appear here, right? So like Yai is a rare example of having a constellation that does scale with talent, because her constellation 2 is required to get her Sakura damage level 4. It's not possible to get her level 4 Sakura damage, this 213% multiplier, without her constellation 2. It's not a very good constellation. It's not a very good damage increase, to be clear. This 40% multiplier increase for most Yai teams is because Yai's best teams are usually aggravate teams, I'd say is not very relevant. It's not horrible, but it's not very good, in my opinion. It doesn't meaningfully change Yai to any real degree that I'd say justifies getting it. I got it because I really like Yai, and I like the range increase. And anyways, so yeah, it would show in this talent screen, in the skill attribute screen, if it did actually scale with it. So it would have to say, you know, whatever the C6 wall of text is. So yeah, this does not scale. So you do not have to level. You don't level this normal attack talent at all for Farina with her C6. Yeah, I mean, triple crown it if you want to. If you want to get use out of, if you want to make use out of Farina's normal attack talent multipliers, do something goofy like the mode switching. Do a, you know, I don't even know what you would balance the stats on this if we're doing this, to be clear, but do like a hybrid Farina like I was doing with C6 Bennett. I made a video shortly after Farina's release about how you can do her, you know, hold her charge attack for a mode switch, to switch between her healing mode and her whatever damage dealing mode, and the interesting utility of that with C6 Bennett, and she could get potentially meaningful pyro damage with C6 Bennett. It's just a problem of her normal attacks are attack scaling versus her normal damage is HP scaling. But if you have constellations on her anyways, she gives herself so much freaking HP that like you can absolutely build her for attack, right? You can 100% throw her on a, you know, attack goblet, pyro goblet, and then throw her on a attack timepiece, and, you know, build her for her like pyro charge attack damage or plunge damage, I don't know. And her constellation 2 in particular is going to give her so much HP, right, that you just like don't really need that much HP in your artifacts, in my opinion. Yeah, so like it'll be more functional than you might expect. Is my current thoughts on that. I should maybe do that at some point actually for a video, but maybe, you know what, I'm gonna put that in my ideas list. Farina, attack scaling Farina's, I don't know what this video would be called, C6 Bennett build when Farina reruns. So yeah, when Farina reruns I might do a video on that. It's functionally going to be not that different from the video that I already made, but it'll be less about the tech and more about just being the sillies. And I don't know. So yeah, 4-piece Golden Troop or 4-piece Deepwood Memories better on Nahida. I mean, if you're talking better for damage, like Golden Troop on, you can get more damage from Nahida. The problem is, like, you need someone on the team with Deepwood, and Nahida is the perfect Deepwood holder, and Nahida works in a lot of different teams that might want her to be the one on Deepwood because she's just the ideal holder for it. And therefore, like, if your goal is to maximize the damage you get from Nahida, because like you just really love Nahida and you want to see giant damage from Nahida, you can absolutely, you know, I've never actually done it. Oh god, this is gonna be a bit disgusting. Let's go to the local legend over here. I've never put a Golden Troop on Nahida. I don't know what this is gonna do. Oh, let's do some live thinky thoughts of how to maximize Nahida's damage. So again, basically the reason not to do this is because, like, you don't need to. Like, it's just easier to and Nahida can deal competent damage. Like I can tell you, Nahida in an aggravate team, right, gets very good damage without needing anything crazy. So crazy like high crit stats on 4-piece Deepwood or anything, right? Or sorry, on 4-piece having a stroke, what's it called, Golden Troop. But we're gonna do that and see how it does. I do have C2 Nahida, which is gonna meaningfully increase Nahida's damage, obviously, but you know, you can sacrifice like 20% from the damage numbers you see. It would still be very strong without that. So what do you do, I guess? We're gonna do Farina because damage bonus.
For this journey.
And I think sucrose. Well, the problem. Okay. I think instead of doing an EM buff from like sucrose, I think we'll just do double dendro. So we'll just throw in Baiju here.
Hopefully this won't take long.
And then we just need an electro, which doesn't really matter who it is. So I'll just do Yi.
Whatever would you do without
We'll do on-field Yi. Right. And the idea here is Baiju's going to be on Deepwood, right? So, but Baiju's a worse Deepwood holder, right, than Nahida is. But Baiju's on Deepwood, so now Nahida can be on a different artifact set. And this is going to be a lot of damage from Nahida, to say the least. I'm basically just going to have to steal Fish's artifacts. Probably that. And then, yeah, that EM timepiece. And then, I don't think I have an onset EM goblet. Nope, that's fine. Not that surprising. Now, let's do... Where the frick is... There it is. That. And then, I think I got... This is not a very good circlet. It may be sad, but hey, it's got a bunch of EM, has some crit rate on it. It's not the most cope in the world, and 40% crit rate, so remember, Nahida has a passive that she converts her EM to crit rate. So, and EM Goblet versus Dendro Goblet is relatively similar as far as her damage output goes. So, yep, 622 EM, and she will, yeah, level 8 talents. I do have C2, so again, like, sacrifice, like, you can like, take off, like, 20%, but I also don't have, you know, a fully maxed out Nahida, and this is not necessarily an ideal balanced ratio, but, like, 60% crit rate, whatever, we'll see some big damage from her. I hope this doesn't kill Rocky too fast. I think it'll be fine, because Rocky is very tanky. I've seen a 100k Nahida spread. Oh yeah, weapon. I forgot about weapon. Whoops. Whoops, I almost left her on Prototype Amber. I don't have Widz's level 90. I could do Widz's. Widz's will give you the highest theoretical numbers. Like, the attack percent buff is not very good for her. I think I'm just going to use... So Lost Pairs is honestly, I think... Oh, frickin' the stupid Hilly Trail, man.
I see everything. Right now, right here.
I did 4,000 without an aggravate. Or without a spread, I should say. So yeah, Widzith is definitely the best as far as like screenshot damage numbers go for Nahida. I think, so if we wanted to, I could just use, you know, this, and then that will result in obviously the biggest number. But I think it makes more, well, no, Lost Pairs is just a stat stick. So, okay, Widzith probably makes sense, actually. Whatever, we're you know, fine. We're just gonna keep this weapon on her. What is her functional crit rate, by the way? It's 0.03% per EM she has, and if she buffs her EM a little bit, that's gonna be. Wait, you know what? Let's put. Actually, no. It doesn't compound, so it doesn't matter. So she will have. Actually, does it? I don't know. Each point beyond 200. I don't know. It doesn't matter. She's probably got like 60% crit rate. It's good enough that we'll see big number from her. Who was designing Widzith? What were they thinking? I don't know. They definitely let that one slip through. That's for sure. Okay, hello Rocky. How are you doing? I didn't do Farina first. Whoops. Just getting 75, 80k. That's without full like stacks up on haven't can't speak. What's it called? I'm having an actual stroke.
Right here, right now.
Kogorus. Was that a 95k? Oh wait, why am I using Armor Field? Jesus Christ, man.
Right?
No, don't kill me. Don't kill it, bro.
I do hope my tea has
Okay. Yeah, that was I think 80 was I think I saw 95k. Either way, even if I didn't see a 95k, that was 80k without using Widzith, which Widzith can give you higher damage numbers than Kagura's does, and doesn't take time to get up the bonus stacks or anything for it. So, not to mention, like, to be clear, options there are options on the Widzith. I think Sacrificial Fragments is still a potentially competent option for her own damage contribution. Increasing her EM will increase her damage meaningfully, but there's also weird things like Flowing Purity could be not bad. Wandering Even Star I have could be a decent option too. Gives more attack. She splits skills based on attack and EM, but EM is definitely a little bit stronger. So yeah. Too many numbers. I mean, the main thing you were looking for was the big green number. So I know for sure I saw an 80k. I thought I saw a 90k-ish, but that's ridiculous. That's a lot more damage, like a lot more damage than I get with Nahida on Deepwood. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like it's just not necessary. Like she does so well on much worse artifacts. I just like don't see the point, basically. Like with these much more cope, EM pieces on Deepwood, and then I think I was using this piece, right? So this is my Deepwood build, right? Which is okay, it doesn't normally have this. Alright, so this is my Deepwood build, and this is prioritizing a lot of EM, right? So this is like 50% crit rate, 102% crit damage. She gets like 30 to 40k still in this team, right? On a much worse build. And again, I have C2, so like take off like 20% from the numbers you see, but that's a lot of damage that she can contribute, regardless of having a damage maximized build. It is something I think you could do if you have another character in a situation, right, like where you are against a single target, where someone like Baiju can hold Deepwood, and because you don't care about that other character's damage. Baiju can hold Deepwood, and it's a single target situation, so the fact that he's not keeping up Deepwood, or he's not going to have a problem keeping up Deepwood for the most part in that single target situation. But in AoE situations, like, he's going to have trouble keeping up the Deepwood passive on all the enemies around, which is going to lower your team damage potentially, and to the degree that equivalent quality artifacts in Deepwood would probably be better potentially. But it's kind of hard because it's so situational, right? It's just a very situational thing. So yeah, Golden Droop is good for her if you're bent on seeing the most damage. It's just more situations than not, you're probably going to find that you want her to be the user on Deepwood for buffing, your bloom damage or your spread damage, dealer's damage. But if you want to make Nahida specifically see the most spread damage possible, yes, someone else on Deepwood and then her on that artifact set can be very good. And those damage numbers you saw go down a lot without someone on Deepwood on the team. Why do you use Prototype Amber on her? Because you want to know how you make Nahida better? Make her a healer. And blam, now she's even more useful. That's why. I didn't really use Nahida on Amber before Farina release, but now that Farina exists, I basically always use Prototype Amber on her. So, yeah. She's a competent healer. Like just Nahida on Prototype Amber, I have found to be enough healing for me most of the time. As far as like defensive utility goes, even notwithstanding Farina, it just Nahida alone, and it just makes it easier, and there's more opportunities to use Nahida on Prototype Amber, in my experience. How did I never get this? Oh, I know I didn't get this chest because it's one of those annoying puzzles. Never mind. So, should you pull for Nahida or Xianyun? Oh, I mean, if you have neither, Nahida is like objectively the better character. As far as how useful she is. The fact of the matter is, I don't love the state of Dendro in the game currently, because it's very clear to me. They designed Nahida and have designed other units. This became particularly obvious after Baiju's release, wherein they released another 5-star limited Baiju, another 5-star limited Catalyst user, Dendro Catalyst, and they very actively wanted him to be a lot worse than Nahida, and as far as like his application potential goes. So like all Dendro units basically have pretty big downsides compared to Nahida as far as like their application potential goes. With Farina's release now, I have found using Tignari as like a Dendro driver to be kind of fun, because like now Tignari, like Quick Bloom / Hyper Bloom teams are a thing where you could use Tignari as the main Dendro unit. So you do Tignari Farina. The only weird thing is like, okay, if you're doing Tignari Farina and then, you know, you're doing some kind of Quick Bloom, Hyper Bloom, like you still have a Electro unit, right? Well, now you have a 4th slot. Who do you put as the 4th slot in this team? Like, if you're doing Tignari, Farina, Electro unit, and then someone else. Well, the obvious teammate for that, the strongest teammate for that team is Nahida still, right? Like, because you need a deepwood holder, and like I could do Baiju instead, to be clear. Or actually, no, if I'm using Farina, Baiju is theoretically better, or maybe Xianyun if you can afford the field time. But I don't know. You get the point. Baiju is a lot better now that Farina released, to be clear, and he's a lot more valuable to have. But Nahida is still on like a amount of damage the team can deal level. Nahida is the strongest character as far as basically any Dendro team goes, and that goes because she's such like so strong for her own personal damage output, as I just kind of showed. Where like yes, her damage is less with a supportive Deepwood build, but still high, and her application and like total Dendro application is, generally speaking, the amount of total Dendro you can apply for a lot of Dendro teams is basically correlated quite closely to how much potential damage output the team can do. So having more Dendro application equal more damage most of the time. That tends to be the limiting factor. And I don't know, there is situations where Nahida's bad to have, like if you want to, you know, play her with Electro units like say Yai, and you want to be able to swirl Electro consistently. Nahida can eat all the Electro aura because she applies so much Dendro, but there are ways around that, and it's a relatively minor downside to her. So as far as generic utility goes, Nahida is, I'd say, more important for an account, and more of a improvement in strength to an account than Cloud Retainer is. So yeah, you have C6 Pharaohs on. Nice. I wish I had that. Hopefully Natlan gives us a Burgeon carry. C6 Bennett is a Burgeon carry. Sorry. I'm sorry. Can't disband deploy team. Did I get any artifacts worth... Oh, yeah, I didn't deploy it. Did I get any artifacts worth leveling? I don't think I did. Which means... could be a while until Nubilet comes back, so you probably get both. Nubilet is an interesting character. I'll probably make a video soon, TM. Someone asked, like, expressed interest a while back, and like, hey, can you give me, like, do a tour of, like, your polearm only, and like a full account overview, like reviewing my own account style video. I don't know what I'd title the video exactly yet, but, you know, at some point I will probably make a video going over my main account here and being like, because this is the account that shows my most accurately my adventure from starting playing Genshin, and like all the things I regret, including like recent regrets, and whatnot. So, you know, here's the regrets page. Weirdly enough, like I have a lot of 5-star weapons. Most of these are just like lucky. A surprisingly high amount of them are lucky, but some of them are mistakes. Like this was a mistake. I don't get any value out of this in the current day. It's not bad. It's just wasn't worth, and for how much it took, and you know, this I don't regret. this I got with this, and I don't regret. This was dumb. I've gotten more value out of it now that Martial Hunters and like Farina combos are a thing, so I kind of do appreciate having it now, but it was not worth it for what it took. And then, you know, this was a dumb thing to do. And realistically, this was kind of dumb to try to get to. It only took 1 pity's worth to get both of these, to be clear, but on like how much value they have relative to like what, like if I hadn't wished for this, hadn't gone for C2 Farina, like if I just stop at C1 Farina, I would have literally, I think, about 400 wishes. No, I'd have around 350 wishes, I think, if I'm doing my napkin mask correctly. So, you know, like, was it really worth it? Right. Let's actually minimize my chat. I don't know. Anyways, let's Strongbox, please give me a VV circlet so I can stop farming VV. I need VV attack percent circlet. Yeah, those are circlets. Quality. Sure, that's what I need. Whatever. Alright. Alrighty then. I only have 4 fragile resin per Cloud Retainer, and she has a new boss in the new area, so, you know, that's gonna be fun. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I'll probably be able to, I don't know, 4, what is this? 4 is when math. Yeah, I should be able to get her to like level 80 right away, so I think it'll be fine. Wish I had Tignari Signature. Yeah, Tignari Signature was just a... I wasn't even like super interested in Tignari when it first came out. You can go back and watch I think it was might have been a stream, might have been an edited video, I don't remember. You can go back and watch the video where I wished for Tignari. Like, I barely knew anything about Dendro, I barely knew anything about like combat in the game in general. And when I wished for Tignari, and like, I won the 50-50 for Tignari and had leftover wishes, and I was just like, throw a 10 pull. That's what I do a lot. I throw a 10 pull on the weapon banner, and got this in a single 10 pull. Like, okay. Like, oh, you know what? Speaking of like Farina Tignari plus C2 Nahida is a, like, you see disgusting damage numbers from Tignari. Regret section talks about 5-star constellations for half an hour. I mean, basically, yes. The video will very likely have something along the lines of, you know, I have regrets in the thumbnail once I make that video. What am I doing here? Let's see. We'll just do, I don't know, let's do a Raiden Chever's team or something. And then this side, we're going to do Tignari, Farina, Nahida, Baichu. How do I get Hunter's Path? I mean, why do I regret getting home? I don't regret getting home per se, but more that I don't actually have that many pull-on characters. So, you know, to use it on. Like, it's fun on Chevreuse, but it's like, how much does it actually do for me? Is it actually that much more useful over using Jade Spear on Chevreuse? Like, no, not really. It's not that much better. That's kind of all it comes down to. Okay.
Illusion shattered. Torn to oblivion.
This is a hybrid Redden, by the way, so getting, you know, whatever overload.
Midnight Phantasm.
Yeah, tank that. But yeah, Hunter's Path? Yeah, you don't right now. That's the answer. You were correct. And you were correct, friend. And the long and short is that we have no idea when they will ever rerun Hunter's Path, which is annoying, at least. And Blam should have resistance reduced. I didn't crit. Classic. Is this not gonna kill it? Okay, well, should have done this differently. Maybe the worst showing I could have ever done for a hybrid ride in here. Please, thank you. Put Homa on Mika. Oh yeah, true. That'll give me a lot more value out of Homa. Okay, this is gonna be a bit silly. Did I take him? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. I should have started with Tignari's skill in the rotation, but whatever. Like, I'm doing 60k. What the F on his initial hit. Also, this is a team where Nahida could be on, right? In this situation, Nahida could be on her 80k skill damage build.
I hear everything.
Like, okay. Give me some pointers with Raiden. I want to put her in my Alhaitham team as a sub DPS battery. You build her with EM. You're basically talking using Raiden as your hyper bloom trigger. I think most of the time when people do quick bloom Alhaitham, they normally use Kuki for a healer, I think. But so I don't. Do you have Nahida, Victoria? If you're using Nahida, you do Nahida and Prototype Amber, right? And there you go. You have a healer. And so like Nahida, Hatham. I mean, if we're doing like a very high investment team variation, right? You could do Nahida, Hatham. You probably wouldn't want to do Farina. I would do Xingqiu probably, because like combo of Xingqiu, defensive utility, plus. Actually, do you normally play Xingqiu with Alhaitham? I don't know. Check with Alhaitham peoples. But so take some of what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But on paper, I think you do enough normal attacks with Alhaitham that Xingqiu is perfectly competent with him. And so do Xingqiu, good defensive utility, Hydra application, Xingqiu damage, particularly with like if you have constellations on Xingqiu, and you know you get your core generation going, and then Raiden on an EM build will get big hyper bloom damage as an an off-field damage dealer while you're doing your on-field damage with Alhaitham. Nahida wouldn't be strictly required to be clear. You could do someone else. Baiju plus Farina would be a competent variation, right? And yeah. You said Victoria. I mean, I think that was the person's name in chat, right? So yeah, the 4-star still didn't get announced for some godforsaken reason. Okay, don't have energy up, so let's do that. Stop. Trying to read chat while I combat. I have a question. Will you win your Nahida 50-50? Yes. I don't guarantee it, but I believe you will. Why did I do that? I need to use it. Okay, whatever. Being very good with utilizing my C4 shivers. Yeah, you're gonna run to the corner. Let's go over here. You want to come over here, sir? Thank you. Man, I love hybrid Raiden with shivers. It's so fun. It like Raiden just feels a little bit too clunky to me on a traditional build with shivers for the same reasons Raiden always feels clunky to me. She's too reliant on doing her burst damage. It just the hybrid build in Raiden with shivers and just in general just diversifies the way that Raiden deals damage in a way that makes teams with her on that build feel so much better. So, anyways, this one's gonna be a little bit worse because it's gonna take a bit to go through the shields, but. Wham. Wow, look at that damage. I wonder who's the best. I think Farina whacking on them might be the best, actually, now that I think about it.
Taking a turn for the better.
Yeah, I have no idea who deals the most damage to these shields. There we go. Blam. Wait, I didn't put an Electro user in this team. Whoops. That's because I was against the Thunderbird. Yeah, normally you want an Electro user in this team. Okay. How did I not realize that? I too hastily threw that team together. Obviously, Tignari's damage goes down a little bit if you don't have Electro going, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, 60k. The team would still probably function perfectly fine, but yeah, 60k damage The freaking Thunderbird is stupid. So I don't have the greatest Tignari ability there. And like I have no reason to meaningfully invest in Tignari because I have this weapon, right? It's just like not necessary. I do have C1 Tignari I got relatively recently on Standard Banner, I think. It's not a bad build to be clear. It's quite competent, but my crit rate is heavily carried by this weapon. So although C1 helps now. And yeah, it's definitely a good build. But nothing crazy insane, right? This is a very high stat value circlet to be clear, but like, you know, a fairly relatable goblet. And a high stat value feather, but not that insane because attack percent isn't amazing for him. This is better in some ways, worse in some ways, so yeah. I think, I don't know. Tignari is super fun. I like him a lot. I like how he plays. And, yeah. Bro was playing Tignari Bloom. I was playing Tignari Bloom for some reason. My brain was just like, hey, who do I put in as the 4th slot? Baiju, because, you know, healing with Farina. And I was like, I didn't properly process for a second. I was like, wait a minute. And, you know, I need Electro when I'm not fighting the Electro bird. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Bloom. It would probably still clear without a problem. So yeah. Alright, any more questions about Xianyun and Cloud Retainer? Well, sorry. Cloud Retainer / Xianyun and Gaming. Who should use, or whatever else in 4.4. Who should use the catch, A or Xiangling? I mean, if you're using Raiden on a traditional build, then you might get more value out of the catch on Raiden. Xiangling works on more weapons than Raiden does, is probably the simple way to describe it. I definitely prefer Xiangling on the catch over most other weapons in the game, other than Engulfing Lightning. I think Engulfing Lightning is a bit better for her. But Xiangling works. Xiangling, there's a bit of a joke in the community about how, like, hey, another polearm released, another weapon for Xiangling. Like, Xiangling works really well on Fav Lance. Xiangling works really well on Dragon's Bane. Xiangling works really well on, you know, Skyward Spine. Although, if you have Skyward Spine, I'd probably use Skyward Spine on Raiden over the catch, and then give the catch to Xiangling, personally. But, you know, and ultimately it's just about meeting Xiangling's ER needs. So my personal priority, if I'm not using the catch on Xiangling, would be, since I have Skyward Spine, Skyward Spine would probably be to use this on her, or to use a Fav Lance on her. And, yeah. So, Xiangling, like, an invested Xiangling can deal competent enough damage with most weapons that as long as you meet her ER needs, she'll function. This is basically my feeling that I've gotten, right? So, anywho's. 2 victorias and 1 chat. What a world. Reached AR 60 yesterday. Nice, congrats. Someone's trying to join. Koi. Is this a viewer? Alright, if this is a viewer, they're getting kicked. Which means if this is a viewer, they have to pretend they're not a viewer. So if they start following me around, I know they're a viewer. Or they're just not going to join. How am I supposed to get more primogens when I'm not at endgame? Oh, you're not supposed to see this. This is secret Farazan funds. That's a joke, by the way. I'm not trying to like push people to spend money. I want to be clear. But just continue playing the game. Like, explore around. You can do most of the exploration. Like, most of the exploration in the game is not like, well, there's a lot of quest log exploration, right? But most of the quests that do log exploration don't require that meaningful of like level thresholds, right? So genuinely, just like if you're a newish player, just do all the exploration. It's a slow grind to get primogems from exploration and quests, to be clear, but you know, that's all there is to it. I recommend not worrying about that too much though, and more just, you know, planning out spending your resources. They release a relatively set amount of resources per patch. By resources I mean like wishes. You can go like Genshin Leaks subreddit. Every patch they have like a estimated amount of wishes per patch. Like I think 4.4 is estimated to be around like 70, 80 wishes, something like that. with exploration events and login and all that, right? For like free to play wishes. And if you plan, you know, okay, I'm gonna get X amount of wishes per patch, based on how I play the game, you know, and whatever, you start to get a vibe for what you can afford to spend, and plan for losing your 50-50, and then just be happy when you win it, because that's going to give you extra wishes for a future plan to get. But, you know, like this is why, like, it was a mistake for me to wish for Chevreuse constellations and risk my pity, because I had enough to guarantee Cloud Retainer when I knew I was going to go for Cloud Retainer, and now I don't have enough for Cloud Retainer. This is not the state you want to be in an account, if you want to, like, detach yourself from just trying to forever chase every single Primo Gem, right? So, yeah. Spending smart helps a lot. Yes, yes, yes. Don't pull unless you really want that character. Okay, what am I doing? I should go on poems only real quick, and then I'm probably going to ramble about the drama for a little bit. And that's probably going to be the stream. Do I have Eula? I do not have Eula. I do not think I will ever have Eula. Unless okay, so like in the circumstance that Eula reruns with Wanderer, if Eula reruns with Wanderer, and Farazan is on Eula's banner, I would rather have Eula than Wanderer. I have a heavy distaste for Wanderer. So, yeah. Anyways. We're going to put a turtle up real quick while I switch to a different account. I think it's this. No, that's not the right thing. There we go. Plan. Okay, log out. Is Ayaka still good in Spiral Abyss? So Binge on my Discord server, he's theory crafter boy that I consider a friend, Genshin friend of mine, I suppose, that I talk to a lot about random Genshin BS. He actually got Ayaka, and I mentioned his melt Ayaka shenanigans. Where is my freaking password manager? I mentioned his melt Ayaka shenanigans in the C6 Bennett video I made today, and that showed me that Ayaka can absolutely be used in more interesting ways. The downside of those teams that he uses, it's relatively support heavy. Like, he's, you know, using Farina. I think he was using Farina. Actually, maybe he wasn't using Farina. I don't know. He was definitely using C6 Bennett, and I think he was using Nahida. So he might not even using Farina, though. And, yeah, so Ayaka can be used in non-freeze methods. But in the way that people traditionally use Ayaka, I think she's conventionally not the most useful character because of the fact that a lot of Abyss cycles are not very friendly to freeze. But she has more avenues now than she used to, is what I would describe for Ayaka. To be able to, you know, competently perform. Who are the new 4-stars? Oh, there's only one new 4-star in 4.4. It's Gaming. And okay, I think I already did my dailies on this count too. Bro likes Yai, alright. He even hates Wanderer like her. Yeah, see? I'm just channeling my inner Yai. The reason I hate Wanderer is because I think he's a bad character at C0. I think he doesn't feel very good to play compared to many other teams. I think he's a bad hyper carry, and I don't think he feels very good to play without C6 Farazan. And if you have C6 Farazan, you probably have constellations on him, which make him feel better, and like slightly better, not crazily. But anyways, like, yeah. And then on top of all this, on top of the fact that I think most of his teams feel not great to play and are relatively boring to play. Like his best team is like, Farina has given him some new options, to be clear, but Wanderer's best team traditionally has been Bennett, C6 Farazan, Zhongli, Wanderer. That team is so boring. It's so boring. And I hate it because on top of it being boring, it's just that's the gameplay loop. And it's just like, oh my god, it's awful. It's actually awful. He's the one character, if you're like, is there any character you hate in Genshin? It's Wanderer. And it really annoys me that Farazan is probably stuck to his banner. So, I will absolutely get other characters that I have zero interest in over getting Wander with whoever he reruns, right? Like, he reruns with Shenhe, but, well, actually Shenhe I have interest in, that's a bad example. He reruns with Eula, I'll get Eula. He reruns, what's other characters I don't really have interest in? Ayaka, I'll get Ayaka, right? C0 Wander and C6 Farazan owner there. Nice, congrats. Okay, screw you again. Actually, not screw you. This is not even a good goblet. But if this was the other set, I'm farming this set on poems only for Hu Tao, and I either need an on-site goblet or a decent timepiece at this point to be able to be basically done farming the set. So, although I want a better flower too. So, anyways, you're not supposed to play as Charge Attack. Charge Attack Wanderer is better though. I have actually played Wanderer a meaningful degree because I played a lot of Wanderer on my brother's account. That's part of the reason I like know so much, like why I dislike him. Like he and I played with Wander with various teams on my brother's account before he had C6, with C0 Wander before he had Constellations, and blah 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 blah. Point is, I've played like kind of the full spread of Wander, is what I would say, from like lower investment Wanderer to higher investment, and he only starts to feel really good at higher investment, and he's annoying at higher investment. And I personally feel that Charge Attack Wanderer is, I'll give this a lark. Lark might not be the right word. I'll give this a chance, whatever, to see if it rolls crit damage every time. And yes, you can do normal attack spam, but I still don't like the sounds he makes in general. And on top of that, charge attacks still are AoE versus this single target I still hate how single target focus Wanderer. I didn't show me again. I hate how single target focus he is without without doing charge attacks, but I hate how single target he is with doing charge attacks too. So, yeah, his Genshin auto targeting issues is a big part of the reason I don't like him, to be clear. So, which is not necessarily, I think, unique to him. Cool. I love your brother's account. He's very relatable. Yes, he is. I'm not really sure why he farms for characters as much as he does, because he doesn't really do much Abyss stuff. And I've like told him as much. I'm like, you know, like for how you play the game, it's like it's just not necessary. I'll probably have a video this week, by the way. Maybe Tuesday during the the maintenance downtime. Hopefully, if I have time to make it tomorrow, it'll probably just be another rambly video. But I was gonna make a community post about. So if you didn't see the Kekvin account fixing video, I mentioned in there and I have it in a pinned comment, a threat stroke. Sure. This could roll crit damage and could actually be good. I mentioned there a Google form for if you want me to like fix your account, because I plan to try to fix viewer accounts soon and start doing videos on that. So yeah, I'm farming you for content, but I have a lot of thoughts about that, so I'm probably going to make it its own video and plug it, but I'm slightly thinking I might regret making that video or even making a community post about that, because without even making a community post or a dedicated video about it, there's already, I think, 100 submissions in that Google form, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, it's so much crap to go through. It's so much, like, time to just go through the responses of the form and try to be like, okay, whose account do I want to be like, alright, which person do I contact to try to fix their account? I'm just like, oh, good lord. So I might be a little bit in over my head in this project of mine, I suppose, but I hope to be doing more of those videos soon for, fixing people's accounts. And, can I fix your life instead? Probably not. I don't think I have that power yet. That'll happen after I get 5 bajillion YouTube subscribers, obviously. That's what happens when YouTube gives you what's it called? The play buttons. You get magic powers to improve people's lives. That's why every YouTuber is an innately good person. This is sarcasm. So, anyways, just group better. He has some AoE. You can't group though. Is the problem? Like you can group with like okay, I shouldn't say you can. My problem though with you know your ability to group with Wander is that if we're going to compare hypercarry to hypercarry, Xiao is better at giving the player control at like grouping than Wander is. So, anyways, to be clear, it's my opinion. Like and look, you can like Wander and I can hate Wander, and we can live together on this planet. What a world. I've played Wander enough. I know I dislike him highly at this point. I don't really know what could happen that could change my opinion about my dislike for him. So, why am I over here? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, there was a couple things we gotta try leveling quick. Oh, I've kind of fixed. I've been trying to strong box for Thundering Fury on polearms only, so that I can get because a big problem I tried when I tried Chevreuse with Sino before on polearms only was it was clear he had some ER issues because there was not a second Electro teammate, and this is not the right weapon for him. If I equip this is his build if I equip Staff of Scarlet Sands, so he goes up to like 75% crit rate with Staff of Scarlet Sands, which is not amazing, but it's still a competent build, and most importantly, he has 144% energy recharge now versus he had like 120 before, which is a very big improvement. Or he had like 125, I think. So yeah, point is this flower, which the sad part is like I had this is a ridiculously good piece. This is what I was using before, but if you need ER, you need ER, and this piece is better because of that, right? So even though it looks a lot worse. So anyways, I gotta try Sino again with Chevreuse now that I have a more hopefully competent build. If this is not enough ER for him, I'm going to be annoyed. So, anyways. Let's go here. We're going to try this first. And, crit rate, huh? Wrong stat. Not useful. Actually, okay, wait. No. Screw this artifact. It's got 3 minerals. I hate it. It's not going to be better than this. My current situation for Martial Hunter's artifacts for Hu Tao is that I don't need that much crit rate rolls anymore. I'm actually in a situation where I'm probably going to use a crit rate circlet. This crit rate, no. Well, one of these 2 crit rate circlets on Hu Tao with Martial Hunters, which means I really don't need that much crit rate in substats. And with the artifacts that I already have, like with this artifact, with her cracked Pyro Goblet, this has 15% crit rate, and this, I literally need 0 more crit rate rolls. So like my ideal timepiece to get on her would be like a 40 crit damage with 0 crit rate. Well, technically it wouldn't be bad to have crit rate, to be clear, and to overcap a little bit, and like when you're building up stacks or whatever. But that's why that's why I'm considering pieces like this if they roll entirely crit damage. Because I don't necessarily need... I'll continue. 1 ER roll might not be bad. I might need a little bit of ER on her. So, okay. Nope. It's dead. So, anyways. It's really just how much you invest in. My Wander is stronger than my Xiao. I mean, what do you mean by it's stronger? Because... I feel like a lot of times when people say it's stronger, they just like are saying, I see higher damage numbers. I think the situational utility that Xiao has over Wander, if you're talking equivalent levels of investment, makes Xiao a stronger character. Not to mention Xiao can use Martial Hunters without Wander, without Farina. So, Xiao is getting better as time goes over on. Wander is not, is kind of my point. And Xiao is getting better with Cloud Retainers released too. What did I go here for with Thundering Fury? I still want more Thundering Fury artifacts, because I'm still strong boxing, because I would have been much happier if that flower that I showed, if it was a feather instead. If it was a feather instead, that has a good amount of crit and energy recharge, then I could switch back to that better feather, the better flower on him and make his build better, because my 2 existing ones, neither of them have ER. They're both high in stat value, but no ER. Roll crit rate, please. Okay, I mean, that's second best. I... Okay. I mean, if this was a 4-line, I'd be very happy with this. But the fact that it's not a 4-line leaves me skeptical. I'm getting even more skeptical as time goes on. Okay. This is interesting. Oh, why, man? Why? The crit damage roll really would have rounded that out, and if it was, as long as it wasn't the HP, man. Okay, bye. No, that's too cope. I'd rather have my existing one. It's not worth. Sad. Well, okay. Okay. I'm any 5 stars a W if they're in it. I agree. So. Xiao is shorter and therefore hotter. I mean better. Yes, there you go. That's the most objective way to say that Xiao is better than Wander. I think they're the same height though, aren't they? They have the same model, so they're literally the same height. I guess Xiao is shorter because he doesn't have a big hat. So, anyways, I think Wander is a very good overworld character, to be clear. And I think that's part of why people like him a lot. Wander is a much better character than than Xiao for overworld. Like, much better. So, there is that. And I think that's a big factor. And I think that's the biggest factor for why I would say most players, if they've used Xiao and Wander and they end up preferring Wander, is probably that factor. But it's not like I never evaluate characters based on their overworld utility to me, but no, like C4, part of the reason I got value and wanted C4, this is the wrong account, but on my main account, C4 Shivers, it's like really fun for overworld because I can just blam, kill things, and I can't do reputations here yet, so I guess let's go to Inazuma. I forgot where they're over here. It's been a while since I did reputations in this account, reputation stuff. Cloud Retainer has some really low damage. You don't build Cloud Retainer for damage, you build her for her buffing. Also, her damage... If you consider her damage, like, if you use her burst before you do her skill, which I don't think you would usually want to do, I think usually you're going to want to skill into burst, which means she is going to deal 0 damage, but she does, for like an Oath Scorn Eye build, she probably will deal, 20k on a plunge attack in an AoE, right? Which is not nothing, but no, you don't. The thing that's good about Cloud Retainer, and Cloud Retainer's functional damage contribution to a team is not with her crit-based damage, it's not with her talent-based damage, it's with her buff. So you build her for her buff, and her damage that she contributes to a team is the damage that's contributed by nature of your other character that is like your on-field plungy damage dealer, right? I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just doing this for something to do while I talk about things. How much time until the patch? Like a few days? Two days or whatever. 1 day, 22 hours, 57 minutes, and then add like 8 hours on top of that or something. So a little over 2 days. Although, yeah, I think the regardless of region, I think the patch usually goes live at the same time for every region. Who is more big number equals good bait? Raiden, Eula, or Navia? I mean, Eula is definitely the biggest bait of those three. I didn't check if this was immune to anything. Because Eula is just, like, if you enjoy Eula, it's awesome. I might enjoy Eula if I ever got her. I just don't think she's worth going for me, for how I know I enjoy how to play the game. But Eula, on like a comparing to other characters level, she's pretty bad. She requires far too much to get her big number, and the teams that you use to get her big number are also not very good in general. So, Eula is definitely the biggest bait of those three. I would personally... So if I was going to order who was more big number equals good bait, Raiden, Eula, or Navia, Eula first, then Raiden, then Navia. Actually, no, okay. Nah, Raiden and Navia are kind of equivalent as far as big number factor goes. I think Raiden is a better character than Navia because of her because of her off-field utility, right? Raiden has off-field utility and Navia doesn't. So I don't like placing Raiden in a negative sense like that, but yeah, it's just kind of weird. Staff of Homa and Marsha say push Shao ahead of Wander. If you don't collect Farina and Cloud Retainer, Wander is always better. Yeah. So, as always, any specific statement about anything in this game depends on your account. And depends on your preferences. Go figure. The context is important. I didn't crit. Die, please. Oh yeah, the drama. I forgot. That's what I came onto this account to even ramble about. So I mentioned it very briefly. So correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't actually looked into the drama and the general discourse around it all that much. The only thing, but my understanding of the drama, right, is it's specifically people complaining about the wishes that they get for free, right? Yeah, so Jack can correct me if I'm wrong. Someone is more up to date on it than I am. But my understanding is it's specifically people very upset about the fact that Hoyoverse only is giving 3 wishes in the mail or whatever for the anniversary reward, or sorry, not for the anniversary, for the lantern rate rewards on top of the 10 pull that you get for login. So it's 13 pulls total, right? And I understand where a lot of that frustration is coming from, to be clear. But I'll try to compare some things to explain my logic on why it, but anyways. Silly drama, kinda. Look at the data. What do you mean the data? So like I said, my initial impression of the drama was wow, this is typical drama that's really dumb. And to articulate why... Oh, you're immune to Electro, aren't you? The main reason I can articulate why I think the drama is dumb is because people are getting focused on the wrong thing. I think there's a lot of things that can be improved about Genshin. I think there's a lot of things that are worth potentially demanding that they fix. I do not, like I said in the beginning of the stream, if I was going to make a list of the things that I think could be improved about Genshin, the amount of wishes they give for free is very low on that list. And I do not, it's no surprise to me that we never see meaningful improvement in Genshin when the only thing people want to complain about to any ridiculous degree apparently is the amount of wishes that we get for free. To be clear, would I appreciate getting more wishes for free? Sure. But think about just think about the context of okay, let's say Hoyoverse releases a statement tomorrow and be like, "We have heard your complaints. We're giving you an additional 20 pulls." Okay, cool. I mean, that's nice. That'll more Arlecchino funds for me. What does this actually translate to in gameplay? Right? For most people, 20 pulls translates to a little bit closer to a chance at getting a character they want. That's all. It's a few seconds of dopamine, and then blam, you log out. That's what it does for you. I force closed the game, by the way, so I gotta relaunch. It feels weird not having anything going on in the background now. I'm sorry. Right, that's what pulls do for you. And okay, cool. Yes, it's nice to be able. This is a gacha game. It's nice to be able to have more resources for free, so that you feel less need to spend money or whatever. And would I like them to increase the amount of stuff they give for free? Sure. But ultimately, gacha games are structured exactly, they're balanced exactly, they're giving you exactly as much resources as they give for free, and whether that be resources that you get directly to the mail through anniversary rewards or whatever, else kind of rewards, right? And they also split that between like quests and exploration and events, right? Ultimately, all these things to Hoyoverse, right, to a gacha game creator, all these things are just lumped in the category of like, okay, how much resources do we want to give the player base for free such that they motivate themselves to continue playing, to feel like this currency is valuable to them to get, so that they can get the things that they want, the characters they want, to be able to have fun in this game, right? Because you want characters, because you like the characters, because you want to play with them. And right, they balance that. They balance this entirely around trying to make you feel like the currency has value, so it's worth it to you to play the game. They try to balance it just right, where they're not giving you so much that you're never going to spend money, because if they just gave you 20,000 wishes per month, obviously ain't no one going to spend $100 for 50 polls. So they have to balance it, right? On a business level. And, okay, cool. So when it comes to the free wishes then, what does it actually do for you in-game versus them giving 13 wishes for free or 30 wishes for free? Very little. It doesn't actually cause you to play the game more. What would cause me to play the game more is if they added more end-game combat. What would cause me to be happier about the game is if they, fixed the way you acquire 4 stars. I would be able to have more fun playing this game. I would wish more. I have said before, I am quite confident I would wish more, spend more wishes, which makes me more likely to spend more money, if there was a better way to acquire 4 stars. If weapon banner was better, I might wish on more weapon banners. And it's just like, I don't know. It just feels to me like people getting upset about the amount of wishes is just like people playing Genshin as a gambling simulator and not actually playing it as a video game, and getting focused on the wrong thing. Like let's have them improve the game in ways that actually result in us playing the game rather than going and clicking a button on this screen. And to be clear, I get where the frustration is coming from with Star Rail. The problem I have with comparing it to Star Rail is very much like, I've played Star Rail. I'm still playing Star Rail. Star Rail is structured in a way. Did I finish all the reputations? I don't know. Star Rail is very much structured in a way to... Well, actually, probably the simple way to illustrate this is Star Rail releases more characters than Genshin. And therefore, they need to give you more resources because they're releasing more characters, right? Like, the balance is not the same there. They're again, like on a business level, they're trying to balance it just right, wherein they're giving you an amount of free things to keep you engaged and keep you playing the game, and to keep you wishing for the new things they're releasing, right? Because if you're not engaging with the gacha system, they ain't making anything. They're never going to make money off of you, right? So the balance they have landed on in Star Rail seems to be to give the player more wishes for free, but also release more characters. So, and the end result of that is that if you pull for this, if you end up pulling for the same amount of characters in Star Rail as you do in Genshin, you might feel like it's very comparable. And I get why it's comparable. They're made by the same company. They're made by, and it takes the same amount of resources to guarantee a 5-star in Star Rail as it does in Genshin. But as far as like time invested goes, it's just like it's slightly less for Star Rail because they want you to wish more for characters because they're releasing more characters. That's the difference in the design. They release more, so they give you more for free to try to strike a better balance. Because I can tell you, Star Rail would feel like absolute yet. Like, good God, would Star Rail suck balls to play, in my opinion, if it was the same rate of acquisition of characters as Genshin. And I'm not saying that Genshin's balance is necessarily perfect, but they've very clearly settled on a balance for it. And my point with this is just to say that, like, it's not actually directly comparable, because the strategy is different, obviously. like they're trying to release different numbers of characters, which necessitates different amounts of free resources. I think it's literally as simple as that, I think. I want them to be better. I would love for them to you know, give more for free. But, okay. But I just do not think it's anywhere near the most important thing to be changed about Genshin. And that's all it comes down to. It's the wrong thing to complain about, is my general thought on it. And it doesn't meaningfully... slightly improving the amount of wishes they give is not meaningfully significant. So, yeah. That's all I can say. I think it's as simple as that. I don't know. I'll read through my comments now, see if anyone vehemently disagrees with me. Wish they would stop the camera from zooming in Genshin or in Star Rail. If you whale in HSR costs more than Genshin, why? What do you mean? It's the same rates as far as like per rate acquisition. I'd say if you're a Giga Whale in Star Rail, it's theoretically cheaper because the weapon banner is less cringe. Again, like if we want to complain about things like weapon banner, 4 stars, as far as like gacha problems, as far as improving the gacha system goes, them giving more wishes for free is not what we need to see improvements for. We need to see improvements in how weapon banner functions, or improvements in how we, you know, like, I don't know, add 5-star limited characters and weapons to this stupid shop here, right? Like, give me more things to like buy with this currency. Like, do things like that, and like let's ask them to change things like that and get up in arms about that. That would make the game meaningfully better, and like result in me having more fun with gameplay. Not, hey, here's a couple more rolls to gamble some more. Hope you enjoy your dopamine for 2 seconds. Like, all that free pulls does is just accelerates the timeline slightly, very slightly, for being able to acquire characters. But it's just like, that's all it functionally is. It's just like, hey, free pulls is like, hey, now it's more pulls for me to be able to use to plan for what characters I acquire. So, I don't know. My impression is most people don't actually try to plan for characters they acquire, and they're just like, I got primo gems, click wish. More primo gems, click wish. Like I said, I think it's a lot of people played the game as a gambling simulator. So it's like, it's no wonder to me that like, if this is the thing people are truly upset about, it's no wonder they don't bother. Like, why would you even bother, like, on Hoyo versus Zen on a business level? This is what people care about rather than the actual game, so why bother improving the game? So I don't know. This kind of drama just leaves me in a really pessimistic state of mind when you look at like the general state of the community, in my opinion. HSR's way to level up Lycones is pain. I think there's a lot of things that are worse about HSR in Genshin than Genshin. I actually had a bit of a wall of text through my Discord server lately about how, like, unless basically I'm at the point where like I've only played Star Rail as long as I have because of a character called QQ in the game, and like I got very invested in the game just because I was hell-bent on maxing out QQ. And I'm now at the point where like there's one character releasing in the next patch for Star Rail that I'm going to get for QQ, and after that I have literally no interest in pulling for characters, I'll be honest. Like some of them look cool, but unless they make an extraordinarily strong impression on me in the story, like Yai Mika level impression, I'm not going to care that much to pull for them. I think Star Rail has a lot of design problems that make it more or less fun than Genshin to me, but some of it probably just comes down to, you know, my preferences with like turn-based games versus the combat of Genshin. I think the combat of Genshin, what the game is on a mechanical level, is much more fun. On a story level, I think Star Rail is more consistently good than Genshin in some ways. But for a story game, for story, you don't need to really engage with Star Rail's gacha at all. So I'm inclined to like stop playing the game after I get the last character in 2.0 for my QQ, and I'm just gonna play the game every few months when there's like a meaningful amount of story where I can be like, all right, you know what, I've got a hankering for going through the Star Rail story, because you know, wait until version 2.4 or whatever when the Penacony story is all out, right? And blam, there you go. And I think it's a completely valid way to experience Genshin if you only care about Genshin for the story too, obviously. But if you only experience the game for the story, there's not much reason to engage with the gacha, right? So, yes, it's Sparkle. Yeah. It is Twilight Sparkle. So, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, like, HSR is not objectively better, and I get why people compare HSR to Genshin. I just don't think the amount of wishes that are given for free is necessarily directly equivalent. When you actually think about like why Hoyoverse is doing it from their perspective, and yeah, I really, to be clear, like the fact that they did, you know, a random freaking free doctor ratio is kind of wild to me. I definitely do agree with the general vibe that it sure as heck seems like Star Rail is their favorite child, right? Like, you know, mom and dad say they don't have a favorite child of theirs, but we all know who it is. And like that's the vibe I get for Star Rail, with some of the things as simple as like how the marketing works, right? And whatnot with the two games. But as far as like the gacha games go, or as far as like the gacha system goes, the amount of free wishes is like the least important thing between the two games, in my opinion. So, yeah. HSR's story pacing is too fast, so we don't get to warm up to any of the characters. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I didn't say their story pacing is perfect. The strongest point about Star Rail story is actually the side stories to me. They have like some really strong writing in some of the side stories. Is my general experience thus far. I don't know what I'm doing, by the way, right now. I'm just wandering around if it's not obvious. Should wander around Fontaine instead. Actually, wait, how close am I to, like, I don't think I have the tree maxed out in this. Nope, not even close. Okay. We are the middle channel, exactly. Let's go get some waypoints, I suppose. I've had an easy time clearing most of Genshin with stars, and I was in pain trying to do that in HSR. Yes, I agree. I think that's a big problem with HSR. Like, like, for example, Doctor Ratio is given for free, right? And it's cool, but, like, for me to feel like I can actually use, like, compared to the average character in Genshin, most characters in Genshin, I feel like you can get to be functional with relatively small amount of investment. It does depend on the character a lot, and it depends on what you want to do, to be clear. It's very context dependent, and to a degree this is the same in Star Rail, but Star Rail much more often feels like I have to like max out a character to get them to feel like I can even compare them to something I have already, and it takes just like Genshin, it takes a frick ton of resources to max out a character, but it feels more necessary to me to max out a character in Star Rail is basically what I'm saying. To get value out of them. And that sucks for like just being like, hey, I just want to try this character because I'm interested in them, right? So like I had to spend a lot of resources just to try out Dr. Ratio, and I'll be honest, my current impression of Dr. Ratio is like he's fine. I'm not going to invest in him much more because but it's possible that if I actually max him out, he might actually start performing well enough that I'm like, yeah, I actually really like Dr. Ratio. But like it's annoying that I feel that, right? Because like the threshold between where he is now, which is fairly high investment, versus like maxing him out is very big. And I do consider that a big problem with HSR, and it's part of why I'm like not that motivated to build and level characters. Is it just feels way more annoying to build characters in Star Rail. I absolutely agree. Yes, that's a good way to summarize it. I think it needs a lot more strategic team building because it's less flexible. And part of that is it makes you feel like you need more characters, right? So they release more characters, and the game makes you feel like you need more characters to clear the hard content in the game. versus Genshin has much more of a creative framework to let you do different things. And I think that's intentional, to be clear. And again, it's part of why I think they give more resources for free in Star Rail. So, I don't know. I think Star Rail is a more well-rounded product. Genshin has a big problem of it's just like this weird mismatch of a game of like you got the open world and you got the story and then you got the combat and like kind of all and you got the TCG and you got stupid mini game events constantly and like it's just this weird mismatch of random bullcrap and it's just kind of odd to say the least a lot of the time. So Star Rail just feels more I definitely said I was going to go with waypoints, and I walked away from the waypoint. Shiver's design reminds you of Star Rail. I mean, what you mean, like works only in a specific context, or I don't know. In general, I'd say they try in Genshin. Like one thing I dislike about I've gotten the feeling, having played this game for over 2 years now, that and actively followed their release cycles and beta cycles for characters. I have gotten the feeling that they definitely intentionally are designing units in Genshin to operate in specific niches. Like they design, when they're designing Chevreuse, they want you to use Chevreuse in this specific way. They don't want you to do C6 Bennett do charge attack Chevreuse. I mean, they don't want you to think about the fact that you can do that and that it can actually be fairly competent. And I don't know. It's something I don't like because that feeling that I have from like how they're designing characters. Oh gosh, I ran out of stamina. I did not mean to do that. It results in like basically the end result is that they're designing characters that are niche, and feel like they're hard to use if you don't use them the way that Hoyoverse intended. And I don't know, it's weird because I think they do that to some degree. I think it's good because when they do that, it potentially means the character's just more balanced. So it's complicated. I can understand why they do it on a design level, but it also feels like to me they do it just on a business level of they don't take an approach of designing characters from yes, we're going to design this character from the approach of the people that like this character will be able to have a lot of fun with them, but instead from an approach of we want to make sure this character is only useful in this specific way, right? And that limits fun that you can have with characters. But Genshin still has the creative framework to do a lot of things, even if Hoyoverse does their utmost to make them bad. And this is interesting. Wish I had my burst. Let's see if I can trigger these without running into them. Yep, nice. Okay. And I think I got plenty of time. So, yeah. Obviously, you're going to clear this easier game easily. I don't get your point. What do you mean you don't get my point? I mean, I'm just rambling at this point about Star Rail things. My point is that they're different games. That's the point. And if they're different games, if you acknowledge that they're different games, then you acknowledge that the Hoyoverse is like going to give you different amounts of resources for free in order for players to feel like they want to actually play their game. Because if someone's not playing their game, if someone's not playing their gacha game, they certainly aren't spending money. That's a prerequisite. A prerequisite to you spending any money and them making money as a business, making gacha games, is people playing their games. And that's where they and the formula of trying to balance the amount of crap you get for free in this gacha game to acquire the gacha characters is part of the whole picture of how the game is balanced. And when we're talking about all these different nuances between the games being different or easier or in one way or another, whatever word you want to use, they're different games. Therefore, they're balancing those resources differently. And therefore, it's weird to compare them and get super obsessed and upset about it when it's just like, how about we ask for the game to be improved in different ways? I really don't care if they give me 10 more pulls for free. It does not change my experience in Genshin at all. Even if they give me, like, would it be cool if they gave a free 5-star or free, I don't know, like a free limited 5-star? Let's say, surprise, as an apology, we're going to make Cloud Retainer free. They're going to pull a doctor ratio, you know, surprise, sorry, or make Cloud Retainer free. Would I be happy about that? Sure. Yeah, that would save me a bunch of wishes. But like, yeah. That's all it would be. It's as simple as that. It doesn't fundamentally change anything. Am I avoiding you? I'm also just... What did you ask, Yorichi?
Stop right there.
Yes, this is a poem on my account. That's why I had to do that challenge. I walked the wrong direction for the waypoints. God, freak. Whatever, it's fine. We're just doing exploration. Free IF, AR-42, yeah. Right, we need like recurring ways, not just like freebie rewards. And to be clear about, as far as like if we're gonna get free 5-stars, right? I think genuinely like more than a free limited 5-star that happens once as like an apology or whatever. I think it's far more important that we could like get an option to just buy standard characters from the shop, for example, right? Standard 5-star characters. If there was a way to, you know, acquire Tignari, because like there's a lot of people that might play this game for 2 years and just never get a Tignari, right? Because he's a standard character. We need improvements to the system that improve the experience of gameplay. And there's improvements to the gacha system. There's improvements that can be made to the gameplay. There's lots of things that could be improved about Genshin. And just giving more wishes for free does not fix any of them. Or even giving a free character as an apology. And like, oh my god. If anything is going to come from, you know, the drama, like, they might be like, yep, okay. To appease you, here's some free wishes. That doesn't change anything. Oh my god, how are you supposed to do this? How do you do this? Are you supposed to shut them down or something? Bruh. Oh my god. Okay, well, I give up. I don't care. I am interested, but it's too distracting for me to be able to ramble about things. It's not like I'm upset about that, I want to be clear. It's actually kind of a fun thing to do, but it's something I don't think is appropriate for me to focus on while talking. I really want co-op endgame content. Yeah, improving co-op would be on my list of things to improve about Genshin, yeah. Oh, you know what? I should get this one underwater while I'm here. Challenge failed. So, anyways, I'm not wrong, right? That's largely what the Genshin community is upset about, is just the amount of free wishes. I don't know if I ever actually saw in the chat if someone clarified that for me. Probably should have watched the chat closer before I rambled about it for 5 years. This is why I hate this challenge. The more levels and even more conditioning. The weird part is I'm pretty sure I did that challenge on my main account fully, and I do not recall getting shot at to that extent. So I don't know. Don't know what I did right or wrong. It's fine. No, they're upset about everything you mentioned. Okay. So it's just a catalyst then? I don't know. Like, the only meaningful discussion I saw of it was focused on the wishes aspect. So that's where I was coming from. But anyways, I don't know. I've always been someone who's pushed for trying to have a healthy perspective on, and like a lot of times people have taken my critiquing and complaining about aspects of Genshin as like, wow, why do you hate the game? Why do you even play it? And I'm just like, I don't hate it. I like, part of having a healthy perspective on things is like, in my opinion, is critiquing things, and like, I am playing Genshin and enjoying things about Genshin, and I'm also acknowledging that the game ain't perfect, and that there's some business practices they're doing that's predatory. So, I don't know. This was a little bit of a weird approach to take to get to this waypoint. Is there stairs? No. Okay. Climb it is. Was it in English or the Chinese side? I've only seen English complaints that I've read directly, but I have read. Right, so I have not. I don't know. I can't read Chinese, and I did not look at any Chinese forums. I saw people saying what was happening on the Chinese side, and it was largely the same thing. And my understanding is, generally, specifically the Chinese side, is just that people are even more upset over there because for some reason the Chinese fan base is even more obsessive. So, yeah. Hello, sir. And boom. I like Chevrus so much. See, that's why I needed Chevrus for my main account. Like, Chevrus is a much better overworld character than Wanderer. Just saying, that's too fun. That's too fun. You just snipe. I mean, you're not actually sniping because the game like auto aims and whatever, but you know, still the same satisfaction just being like aiming your gun and just murdering this hilly turtle. Like, hello, friend. Goodbye. So it's fantastic. So, the one benefit to enemies in Overworld being squishy sometimes is that you can point a gun with your support character and just shoot them in the face and they're dead. Anyways. There's a boycott going on that no one is practicing, yeah. That's probably why my videos performed kind of poopily, which is not that surprising. I should have just made a drama video and jumped on the bandwagon to get views, so I don't know. To be clear, boycotts are probably successful. If you really want Genshin to improve, boycotts can be a good way to do it. Like I said, if people aren't playing the game, they aren't making any money. But I can bet you most of these people that are boycotting, if they really, like, presumably they're boycotting because they're passionate about Genshin, right? And chances are they're going to be interested in the new patch that adds a new area and new characters, and they're probably going to log in. So, you know. And yeah, you can make the argument that, like, well, clearly I don't care about the issues enough if I'm not boycotting it or whatever. But I don't particularly see this as the right bandwagon to jump on. I try to just give my 2 cents and critique the game so that, you know, that informs people's decisions on how they play the game, because I think if people, you know, take some of my mindset of how they approach playing the game, it's likely that it would cause them to make less money. And if they're making less money, it would require they change things about the game in order to continue making money. That's generally my perspective of why I feel like it's relevant to share the things I think about the game. What is boycotting? Boycotting is like, you know, if you have a problem with something, but it's like a service let's say, you know, like in Genshin's case, it's like boycotting is, you know, the way to protest the problems with Genshin, whatever problems you may think they are, is to not play Genshin, right? Because actions, you know, the actions speak louder than words type mentality is generally what boycotting is. Why is there a chest down here? I see. So, you know, if actions speak louder than words, and like, okay, then stop using the product, stop paying for the product or whatever, then the thing with Genshin is like you don't have to stop playing Genshin to boycott Genshin. You just have to stop spending money in Genshin, right? Because that's what they care about. That's how they make money. So they make money by people spending money. So if you stop spending money, you can boycott Genshin but still play Genshin. But anyways, so yeah, generally speaking, boycotting is not engaging with something. So you can boycott. You know, if a retail store does something you don't tolerate, oh, I did the wrong thing. Then you know you can stop shopping at that store. That's boycotting that store, right? I don't know where the term came from. But we talking about the 3 extra wishes drama? Not that meaningfully. I just mostly was rambling about how I think the 3 wishes drama is really dumb because it's the wrong thing to get focused about. If it is a catalyst for larger change in Genshin, then it's good, I would say, to be clear. Like, I don't think it's necessarily bad to get upset about the game. I just think the 3 wishes thing is specifically a really dumb thing to get focused on. Because it doesn't change the experience of the game at all. We'll go get this first, then I'll get the ones over there. Free-to-play players right now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like more wishes does improve the experience very slightly, but again, you should just be planning out. All it does is just change how much you can slightly plan for. And I unless they literally give a 5-star like 70 pulls for free, I don't think any amount of free wishes they give is a meaningful difference maker. So, yeah. Everything going back over here, right? Where boycott goes from an Irish guy's name. Today I learned. Thanks, Alex. Is it literally something that the dude's name is literally boycott? Probably was the first one. I imagine it was it a workplace boycott? That's my guess. I don't know. We should look into it. In the last lantern, right? Didn't they give 3 to 5 extra wishes via in-game mail? I don't remember. I neither know nor care. It doesn't matter. Bird. I missed. Shit. The bird just despawned. I was gonna try again. Darn it. Oh well. Okay, I don't know. Anyone have any other questions, I guess, about 4.4? I got really no more thoughts to like meaningfully contribute, I think, with the drama discussion. Like I said, I'll probably try to throw together a video if you're interested in me fixing your account. For just rambling about being like, hey, it's also a video I want to make because it's going to be like one of my approaches to making content moving forward. Might be a farm you forgot it. No, it's basically just a video that outside of just being like, hey, here's this form for you, but it's also meant to be a video being like I don't have Animo. No, I have Xiao. It meant to just be a video where I can be like, hey, this is my kind of philosophy for making content moving forward. So I don't suspect the video will get that many views, but it's more of your channel update style of video in conjunction with being like, hey, here's a forum for you if you want to fix your account. I might choose you, but based on how many people have already submitted, it's not like there's a high chance I necessarily choose you. But yeah, the Google form is fairly open-ended, by the way, if you've seen it. And there's a link in the Kekfin account fixing video if you want to look at it. But I think you have to go down to this cave, this waypoint. But yeah, basically the Google form has a couple open-ended questions, and those open-ended questions are basically meant to be for like you to try to give me whatever information you think that it would give me reason to choose your account over someone else's. To fix. Like why do you have a need that is more great than someone else's? Because I am a human being who lacks the ability to be able to fix every person's account directly. So I need to be picky. Ever played Warframe? I did play Warframe, yeah. I think its gameplay got kind of relatively stale. Yeah. Do you think? Anyways, have you ever played Warframe? You think it's a really good example of a game that creates a non-aggressive monetization as well as a way to keep players coming back to the game? Yeah, it was really interesting. Particularly the fact that Warframe offers an ability to acquire its monetization, right? So like the equivalent would be Genesis crystals, right? In Warframe, if these were acquirable through a trading system in-game, right? Warframe has, for those that aren't aware, Warframe has the equivalent of Genesis crystals acquirable through like in-game trading methods. The prices for the stuff in the game are similarly egregious, but and then also the game suffers from a similar aspect of Genshin where it's just like there's 500 different games within this one game. Like what the actual F is Warframe the game? Well, it's a lot of different things. and it's a weird effect of a live service game that's been running for like 10 freaking years, right? And they've consistently added a bunch of content to the game. So yeah, Warframe is really interesting. Its general gameplay didn't grab me long term. It's kind of all it came down to. It was really fun to faff about with friends in it. And they had a number of like actually the kind of innovative things on a combat level, but it didn't grab me in the same way that like Genshin does on its like mechanics or anything, which are just different preferences or whatever. So I enjoyed it a lot with friends. So it was very, very fun with friends. So. A lot of the like things you did on a recurring basis though were just very, very like whatever experiences to me. So it felt like a lot of the time I was spending was just nothing time. To be clear, that's a lot of Genshin's time too. But Genshin honestly just doesn't even take that much time out from my life anymore outside of when I want to spend time in it. And I'm usually specifically choosing what I want to spend time in Genshin versus like I don't know. It felt less like, I guess the way to simplify is it feels less valuable to grind in something like Warframe than it did in Genshin. Whereas like Genshin feels like there is actually reason to grind like your artifacts and builds for your character slowly. Warframe doesn't have that same aspect. So it's maybe what I was feeling. Won't submit my account either, but like seeing Sluna's opinion would be fun. Yeah. Did you used to play Warframe a lot? The grind was just way too much. I got tired. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Like the formula for grinding in Genshin. Like as much as I could critique the artifact system, I think this system is sneakily brilliant. As far as a way to keep players engaged goes, it's I don't know. It's like I have joked before, and this was a joke I've made before, but like it's honestly not even that much of a joke. It still is a joke now if I were to say it because I don't actually feel this anymore. Because I've gotten so used to the artifact system that I no longer can get dopamine from like any artifacts except for extraordinarily rare ones. But like 40 CV artifacts don't excite me anymore. They're just like, ooh, cool, I guess. Like, hey, that's nice. That'll make this character's build slightly better, but it doesn't actually matter that much compared to, my 30 CV piece that has an attack percent roll. This is like slightly better. So like my brain has normalized what it actually matters for, the degree that like I don't get the dopamine from it that much anymore. But there was definitely a long period of time where I felt that I got more dopamine from like just farming artifacts and leveling artifacts up than I did from freaking wishing. So like as far as like a system to keep players engaged and keep, like it's a sneaky system of balancing RNG in a way that players can tolerate spending time in, that feels like they're getting some amount of value for the time they spend. Just go to instructor's piece. Garbage. If I were to bribe you with €2, bribe me for what? You didn't ask me to do anything, Len, but thank you for the free money. I'll take free monies. Gotta say, that's a very accurate assessment of Warframe for someone who doesn't play it. I mean, I played like 40, 50 hours in it, something like that. I can actually check. Let's see, how much time did I play with Warframe? And I started to get like relatively more into it when... 66 hours, yeah, so that's about accurate. I started to get relatively more into it towards the end of the 66 hours with like being like, okay, there's this warframe, which is equivalent to like character in Genshin. There's this warframe that I want to get. Okay, what do I need to do to get that? I gotta do this, gotta do this. I started to get into it enough to like where I was like motivating myself to do the grind more. But then my friends started playing other games, and I didn't really care to play it without my friends. So I think some domains have a boost on good pieces sometimes to keep players on game. Maybe it's a thing in my head, but I don't know. I don't think there is, because the thing with a good RNG system is you don't need to like to be clear, like adding guarantee systems to RNG systems, like adding a guarantee system for acquiring 5 stars is an important part of like potentially making an RNG system feel good. But you don't. Where is this Oculus, by the way? Oh, it's probably here. I'm done. It's you don't need to add like artificial systems that actually just give you guaranteed good things for free. I can say, having farmed a lot of artifacts across 3 accounts on in Genshin, I have not gotten the vibe that it's anything other than complete RNG, and we have enough data out there as well to verify that it's complete RNG, but there is no guarantee system. People would have noticed it by now. There's enough, data obsessed people playing Genshin that we would have noticed. It's possible, to be clear, this is a live service game. It's possible they updated the game and people haven't noticed yet that the artifact system was changed, but I doubt they did, because it's balanced in such a way that just statistically you are eventually going to get the things that are like good, that you are looking for, and enough stats are relevant on artifacts that even when you have, bad RNG, like that's why I've pushed stat value. That's why, I consider, where is it? Ignoring the particular set they're on, right? Oh wait, no, this is the wrong. I'm not on my main account. Actually, yeah. We'll use this nonsense goblet. This goblet I do not think is the best artifact on my account, right? Like most people, this is one of the rarest artifacts you could possibly have, is like a hydro goblet this freaking good, and it's like nonsense, right? This is a 50 crit value goblet. Yeah, but like crit value is bad. And like this goblet is not that useful to me. What has been like a bigger difference maker is like an artifact like this, right? This artifact is, most people, I think the average player would say, they'd rather have this goblet over this feather. I think this feather is a better artifact. It is what I would say. And there's pieces that are, lower than 40 crit value that have more value to me too. I just, off the top of my head, that's the one that I could immediately say I think was better. So anyways, I think you get the point. Like there's enough stats that are useful on Genshin system that like the nature of the stats themselves being RNG, and the nature of knowing that different stats are useful, and the nature of the game design making different stats be useful in different ways, naturally makes the different things the RNG system gives you useful in slightly different ways. And in the artifact system, the less you chase crit, and like the more you realize how valuable stats other than crit can be, the more you realize the artifact system is not as bad as people make it out to be. In my opinion, I think it could be better. To be clear, I would like it to be better in some ways. It's not perfect, but I do think it's one of the things that has kept me engaged with the game in a way that's not necessarily entirely positive, but does force me to. It's a core part of the system that lets you use characters in creative different ways, right? It is why I'm more bullish on and like positive on the artifact system, I'd say.
Armed and ready.
Because you don't, and my general thought is, and my general thinking of the Genshin in particular, is that you don't need to actually spend that long of time acquiring the really high quality artifacts to get things to be functional, right? So, which is not a thing at Star Rail, by the way. At Star Rail, I much more feel like you need the good equipment with the rare stats, whether it be speed or crit or whatever. Because Star Rail, they did a sneaky thing of making the artifact equivalent in Star Rail requires a lot of breakpoints to reach, either characters' kits or like 2-piece bonuses for the artifact equivalents in Star Roll require like breakpoints to reach, and reaching those breakpoints makes building characters sucks. I hate it. Like it's a contributing factor to like why I don't like building characters, and like why I'm not super interested in building characters, because it's like, okay, to do this like interesting thing with this character I need 160 speed, and how many substats is speed? A lot. And speed is the rarest substat in the game. Yay. Right, like there's a not insignificant amount of circumstances where I have encountered that when being interested in a character, and then that was a deciding factor for me, either like not pulling for a character or not thinking it's not worthwhile to build them. And it's not just speed thresholds, to be clear, that's just an example. It can be things like break effect thresholds. Like I had a miserable time trying to get one additional break effect stat on Ruan Mei and HSR. It literally took me like over 2 full weeks of farming Simulated Universe to get one defense percent orb, so I needed one of 2 main stats, either an HP main stat or defense main stat, and get an orb that had 1 extra break effect roll. Ridiculous. Remove flat stats and be perfect. Flat stats still have some amount of value, but like, yeah, no, I generally agree that flat stats would make the artifact system feel much better. One thing I think they should have done, this would require like rebalancing a lot of things. I think it's unintuitive that, you know, attack percent, right? So the white numbers here, any percentage multipliers uses, like, so HP percent takes your base HP and multiplies, and that's what you get. So if you get 5.8% HP on your artifact, it's taking 5.8% of your 11,962 here and then adding to that. Right? It's not doing a compounding multiplier. The thing that I think is lame is I think they should have, I don't think that, like, flat stats I think can make sense, but the only change they would have had to do to make flat stats, and this might have required like rebalancing the exact like values they place for them, but flat stats immediately become far more interesting if flat stats, instead of adding to this green number here, added to your base number, right? So that means any... how much flat attack do I have on Shivers here? I have 16, not much. I have 2 good of artifacts, so I don't have much flat attack, flat stats. But, you know, on we'll just do it for the sake of comparison, right? So on a simple level, this would be better in the case of, like, if you had, let's say I had like 100 flat attack, right? Because like 100 flat attack is a lot of flat attack. But if flat attack applied to base attack, right? That would mean that attack percent then increase, the value you get from attack percent increases the more base attack you have. So if you have more, if flat stats count as base attack, that means you get more value out of attack percent by having some flat stats. Point is, it just gives you additional value, right? So say I had 100 flat stats on Shivers here. So say she was 900, right? So I had 99 flat attack or something. And then let's see how much total attack percent I have. I have 4.7 attack, 0.47 plus 0.466 plus there's no attack. That has no attack. She does give her self attack though with her passive. That's 0.21 attack, I think. No, 0.23. So plus 0.23 attack. And then I have Noblesse on the team, right? So that's plus 0.2. So that's 94. I think that's everything. I might be missing something, but it's close enough. That's 94.3% attack, right? Times that 100. So that's an additional 94 attack stat. So that means flat attack, if it added to base attack, would functionally, in this build on Chevreuse, result in an additional 100, right? So I'd have 2169 attack instead of 2069. And if you multiply that out by like her 600% multiplier, right? So that additional 94.3 attack would functionally be times 6 is an additional 565 damage, which is also multiplied by if she crits or whatever. So in this case it's times 2.8 and then times whatever damage bonus. So we'll just say times 2. That's an additional 3,000 damage if she had 100 flat attack, right? In this context. Of course, having that flat attack means sacrificing other stats, right? But like, let's say, like, it's possible that if this defense percent was flat attack, if this defense percent was flat attack, right, that I could have that circumstance. This HP was flat attack, and and that could be, like, it's feasible that with the artifacts I have, if we just swap some of the stats I have to flat attack, I could have been in that circumstance wherein, you know, I could get 3,000 more damage, which is only like probably a percentage point or two more damage, but it still would have given more value to stats, flat stats. So I think that's the biggest missed opportunity, honestly, as far as how they design things goes. But yeah, and again, the values probably would have been slightly different. I don't think it would like crazily change artifacts. It wouldn't mean like, oh my god, we need all the flat stats now. It would just make it much more relevant to have them. Rather than them almost always being non-optimal, except for in very specific situations. Where's this thing? Underground, I think. Okay. That would make HP scalers good with Bennett. It would be hilarious, though. Yeah. It would be... Yeah, there'd be a number of things that would probably have to be rebalanced, to be clear. If they did such a thing. And like, I'm not saying they need to change the game to do that. I think it's more something they should have, like, they probably did, honestly. It's something they could have considered and maybe did consider when they first, designed the game and were figuring out how they wanted to do things. So I don't know. It's a fairly decent system. I can definitely say Star Rail system is worse. This is my experience. Okay, so let's go get this. And base stats are so undervalued. I don't know, people see flat and immediately say it's not a good artifact even though that character likes HP attack. Oh yeah, so just as far as how the game does currently exist, as far as flat stats, I have actually had a number of circumstances. Like there's one artifact on the top of my head that I relatively recently got for Yai on my main account that was an upgrade. It was a 4-line attack percent, like Wanderer's Troop piece. Attack percent piece for Yai, and it rolled like twice into flat attack or something, and that made it, and overall its crit value was actually, I think, very slightly worse than my previous attack percent, like Wanderer's Troop piece that I had on Yai, but the flat attack was the difference maker for it being better than the other artifact. So it's definitely not something you should just be like, oh, okay, this artifact rolled into flat stats 2 or 3 times, throw it away, because it depends what you currently have. It very well might be that the flat attack may be the difference maker for one artifact being better than another on your account, right? So and I've seen that a non-zero amount of times. On this account, like, I actually have an interesting circumstance on Yunjin here. So like my Yunjin has 2,700 defense, and this is on 2P's Emblem, 2P's House. And this is 33% crit rate, 221 ER, which the ER is the main thing I could potentially improve, but because it depends on the team. Sometimes she does need more ER than that, but it depends. And anyways, like, if you look at these artifacts, the reason I have so much defense is not because like I have insane amounts of defense percent. It's actually because I have a stupid amount of flat defense, right? Now, Yunjin is an example of a character that actually, she can become meaningfully, like, her buff can be meaningfully higher by having flat stats, and it's a circumstance that makes it insanely hard for me to like justify replacing any of her artifacts, because like, okay, if I need more ER, I'm gonna lose a lot of defense by just like if I swap to a different timepiece that has less flat def, right? But because it has more ER, like, do I have something with more ER than this, right? I mean that, yeah, right. So like, that's not that much more, but like, I could switch to this that has 2%. I gotta take it. My throat just ran out of moisture. Blech. Okay. If you have Aquila, if one of you will have 1,300 base attack on Bennett. No, you won't. Aquila Bennett base attack is what is it? It's like 849. Unless you're talking in the context of my hypothetical of flat stats adding to base attack. But anyways, Yeah, right. Like this piece is worse because it doesn't have flat def, right? I have an off piece, defense percent piece, and it doesn't have. No, it does have more crit rate. So even though it has more crit rate, more ER, and those are the priority stats for a fab build on Yunjin, this piece is slightly better because the 2% ER and the 0.4% crit rate is not enough of a difference maker compared to the 3 flat def rolls, right? So like the total amount of flat defense rolls, what do I have? I have 65, 72, so that's like 130. We're just going to round to 200, 250, 300. So I have about 300 defense in flat stats from Yunjin, which converts to a meaningful increase in a flat damage bonus, right? So yeah, I don't know, like this build is meaningfully stronger because of the flat stats. It is basically all I'm saying. So flat stats do have value, but at the same time, if you consider if they just weren't in the game or they contributed to base stats instead, then it just requires them. It means like if Bennett could he get increased base attack from artifact stats, then that means like Bennett's buff needs to be lowered in turn a little bit, right? Maybe if we had a proper way to check our DPS, because we don't, because mods are like, yeah. That's another thing that would be on my list of things to add to Genshin that I would prefer they add, like yeah, more wishes for free, cool, but like I would absolutely, if they're like, hey, do you want 70 free wishes, or do you want a damage dummy in like your teapot that you can just like whack on? Can you even do combat things in teapot? I don't even remember. Like here's a damage dummy in the teapot that you can whack on it, and you can interact with it, and it shows like your DPS, right? Your average DPS, and it gives you like a number for it. That like I would absolutely be like here, take my C3 Raiden away. I'll go back to C0 Raiden in exchange for a damage dummy. Good God. Like, so, no, I'm not joking. So yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are more important than free wishes. So I feel like the way of flat stats working, like you talk about, is too complicated. I don't think that is. When I first started playing this game, and I saw that the equipment had attack percent and it had flat stats, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I get it. So the reason, like my immediate intuition when I saw the equipment in this game, when I first started playing, was that, oh, okay, the reason that you have these different stats, the reason that I gave them the benefit of the doubt. The reason you have these different stats is like, okay, you have. Can I find anything with a flat stat and its corresponding attack percent at the same time? No, apparently not. Is because you get. Flat stats are less value than attack percent, generally speaking, but you can get compounding value from having, flat stats increasing the amount of percentage stats, or increasing the amount of attack that your percentage stats gives, right? I think that's what's immediately intuitive, but the real reason flat stats exist is primarily just to diversify and make the odds of getting the stats you want worse. That is the real reason, like, if we're being real. That's why they did it, but at the same time, my point is just like the fact that they exist in the game does contribute to how they balance characters and whatever. I do think there's a better balance to make flat stats relevant. I don't think they're relevant enough, and I think they need to make more characters like Yunjin. Personally, I think they need to make more characters like Yunjin that can get value out of flat stats. And someone like Cloud Retainer is another example of that, right? Where like a theoretically ideal Cloud Retainer build, the difference between like a very high investment and a high investment Cloud Retainer, like if we're talking, let's say a Cloud Retainer at a high investment with like the artifacts I have in my main account right now, with 4-piece Viridescent Never, to be clear, and Cloud Retainer's signature weapon from when I did Calcs would have about 3,500 attack. The difference between that, which I'd say is a fairly high investment Cloud Retainer, and a very high investment Cloud Retainer, would be the flat stats, right? And I think. And the more that time goes on, the more they release characters that can take advantage of flat stats, the better artifacts with weird stat distributions like this become, even if they are flat stats. So, no, gaming is the first phase. Oh yeah, duh. You were right. I was looking at feathers for flat attack. My brain did not compute that fact. Of course I couldn't find flat attack there. So, yeah. Anyways, yes, I generally speaking do agree though that flat stats should just be like removed. Should have just not been in the game, and that would immediately make the artifacts in the game better. The artifact experience better, but I just think it's important to acknowledge that there are definitely cases where the flat stats are the difference maker. More often than I think some people might think. So, what's attack percent? Does the Xianyun need to be 5k attack? Oh, by the way, for what it's worth, I'm gonna risk going to Amber here on my stream and show Cloud Retainer's kit. Xianyun. Did I spell it wrong? Why is she not coming up? I'll bring the thing. Oh, unreleased content is disabled. That's why. Okay. Do that. Characters. Xianyun. Talents. There we go. Okay. Listen to some water in the background. And browser. There we go. So, her talent here, the one we're looking at is this. So, it's possible that on release, so the up-to-date Chinese version of her kit from the last beta is that she buffs based on 200% of her attack, and this is where the 5,000 number that the person in chat just mentioned came from, right? So to reach the maximum damage buff increase that can be achieved this way is 9,000. She would need 5,000 total attack, right? Because we do 5,000 times 1.8 is 9,000, right? And you could do the reverse direction of 9,000 divided by 1.8. The cap though, the last beta version that we had, for some reason this didn't get translated in Amber. I don't know why. So it's grain of salt. It's possible that her actual release will have 180% and not 200, but the last version we know of in the beta was actually 200% of a multiplier instead of 180. But this 9,000 is still the same. So the actual functional cap you need to reach is now 4,500, right? It's just 9,000 divided by 2. So 4,500 is the max functional cap. And realistically, it's not really feasible to get that. So the basic math, how do I want to open up a Google form? I don't think I do. But the basic math is, let's minimize this, there we go, is, right, take the total amount of attack percent times her base attack, and add it all together, right, including the feather. And from my calcs, actually, you know what, screw it. Let's GI damage calculator. We'll use this quick. This is probably going to end the stream with. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Should be fine. Okay, choose Cloud Retainer. Oh yeah, it doesn't smite me for this. Talent. We don't need to level up talents at all because all we're looking at is total attacks. So if we do her signature weapon, right, at level 90, she has 1,076 base attack. And normally VV is going to be best, right? So we'll throw on VV here. We're going to go triple attack percent. Level 20 that. So you can see without any substats, right, she's at 3,378. And so with my artifacts that I have on my main account, I have one piece I think that's like 12.8% attack or something. So if I had her signature, I'd be at 3,500, right? The main question, of course, is hitting her energy recharge needs. So you shouldn't prioritize flat attack over energy recharge. But you can see we're still about 1,000 attack away. We have attack percent from main stat from every piece. We have our signature weapon. We're still 1,000 away. If you have her Constellation 2, I believe it gives her 20% attack, right? Well, it says error, but does it show here? Yeah, it does. So she gets 20% attack. So let's assume you have Constellation 2. That's like very high in like vertical investment, Xianyun. And now she's at 3,700. You're still 800 away, right? So let's assume you have a 60 or 12.8% attack flower too. Okay, how close can you feasibly get? Let's say you have 60 flat attack because you still need ER, right? And blam, there you go. So 4,000, in my opinion, is the realistic max cap. This is with her signature. So, I'll link the site for you guys. I like this site, so like, I don't like the Genshin optimizer, because I think the Genshin optimizer is bad at doing what it says to do. And because it requires too much knowledge to get optimizer to do what you need it to do. And what optimizer is most useful for then is just checking simple things like this, like checking hypothetical things that you don't have, to see what like the values are for things. And yeah, without having to like do this is basically a website that's just doing, you know, spreadsheet stuff, but without having to input things into a spreadsheet, right? So it's a much nicer interface than the optimizer or doing a spreadsheet. So anyways, 4,000 attack is in my opinion the realistic max feasible high investment build to get to. You can theoretically have contexts where you might do, you know, 2-piece attack percent over doing 4-piece VV. Most teams that she's going to be in, that would be a DPS downgrade for the team, like a significant DPS downgrade for the team, right? Is the reason you wouldn't do that. So this is why, like, I would say 4,000 is the max threshold. So you can use Bennett, of course, to potentially reach the max threshold, but she has to be on field for that, which means it's only benefiting her plunge damage, like, which whoop-de-doo, yay, benefiting her plunge damage. Like this non-crit 15k damage for her triple plunge, her EE plunge would go to like probably 20k. Woohoo! Like, wow. So it doesn't matter. And again, this is with C2, right? So yeah, if we can switch to attack percent, or 2-piece attack percent, and see where she's at though. I think with 2-piece attack percent, she'll be near 4,500, right? So realistically, sure, I'll use that set, why not? Realistically, 2-piece attack is the main method you have to actually max her buff, but it doesn't actually make sense to do over... it doesn't actually make sense to do over VV for team damage. And again, this is like a real big asterisk on, like, you're assuming you have somehow like my Yunjin tiers of like perfect amounts of flat stats while also still meeting her ER requirements, which is potentially easier to do with her signature weapon right here. So now you see she's at 4,437 attack, which is almost exactly like you would only need, you know, one or two more attack percent rolls. And oh, and also I didn't factor in the fact that you can, you know, let's say you have a Toma on the team, or you're doing double pyro, which actually is, I think double pyro with Xianyun might not be the most uncommon thing, right? Because let's say you're doing Farina, where's Farina, and you're doing C6 Bennett shenanigans, because like the Farina Bennett Xianyun core is going to be the core for for making a lot of teams functional. With like kind of any melee DPS that you want with C6 Bennett. Where is Bennett? Good God. I am blind. I am literally blind. There he is. Okay. And then we'll just throw in Gaming here. Why not? And the reason I throw in Gaming is because Gaming is a... What a stroke. Pyro DPS. Where is he? I'm blind. There he is. Okay. And then we'll assume... You know, I'm going to put I have Freedom Sworn, so I'm just going to put that I have, you know, Freedom Sworn here. So if you factor in the fact that, you know, double pyro exists, so if you're doing double pyro and you have, you know, whether it be, you know, you could also have Noblesse, right? So you could also have Noblesse or Tenacity or whatever. You could do Tenacity on Farina. don't do that. But, you know, do Tenacity on Farina, and then now we're actually in the tier of this is enough attack to max out her buff without doing 2-piece attack, right? We could go back to 4-piece VV. I don't have these artifacts saved, so I had to manually input them. Blam, 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 right? And then add back in the attack percent. So it is possible to reach the max. It is, so it's good that they changed it. Is basically what I'm trying to illustrate here. It's good that they changed it from the 5k max versus to a 4.5k max, because now you can see a 4.5k is actually doable to max with her signature. Without her signature, though, you're just not. Without her signature, the best option is basically, I mean, you could use Skyward, but like Skyward is, I wouldn't recommend Skyward personally, because you're gonna need so much ER. You're gonna need so much ER and substats. You're probably gonna have to do an ER timepiece if you're doing Skyward, which means like why? The main reason to do Skyward, I would say, is if you don't have a Sworn Eye, then you can do Skyward and whatever. So you know, you can see we dropped to 3,850 attack with these artifacts, versus about 4,400 and something with her signature. So yeah, basically it's possible to reach her stuff now, her max buff now, with external buffs going on specifically. But you need either to do 2-piece attack percent, 2-piece attack percent, or you need some amount of external buffs from the likes of Noblesse, Freedom Sworn, you know, Elegy, or Pyro Resonance is doing a lot there, doing 25% attack, right? So in a lot of team circumstances, you're not going to get. In most team circumstances, though, you're never going to get close to her max buff, even with a lot of flat attack stats. But flat attack stats can be the difference maker between, you know, a very highly invested and a not highly invested Xianyun, right? Like having an additional, what is that, 200 flat attack there, functionally results in, what is that, 200 times the 200%, right? So that's 400, and then times any damage bonus you have, times any crit damage you have, divided by resistances and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. So this, by the way, this is kind of the reason I'm tempted to do a 10 pull for, or well, why I probably will do a 10 pull for her weapon, is because like giving the plunging damage bonus and making it reach her cap is interesting to me. Although again, this is with C2, so without C2, obviously it's another 20% attack you lose. So yeah, the point is they balance the cap, they balance that 4,500 cap around C2, around having external attack percent buffs, and around her signature weapon. So without all those ifs, you're not gonna necessarily reach her cap. Okay. Xianyun is like Shenhe and Farazan fusion with more interesting mechanics. Yeah. Again, like I said in the earlier stream, like Xianyun is like Shenhe if Shenhe did cryo infusion, right? She enables her own buff, which is the big difference maker on why I like her so much. If Xianyun was a plunge damage buffer, but like didn't enable you to do plunges with other characters, yeah. So I am very curious, by the way, that we've gotten slightly weirdly conflicting information from Homcat on whether or not Raiden's, like when you're in Raiden's burst, because Raiden has a 382, like this is a crown C3 Raiden to be clear, right? But so I think that's more like 300% at level 10, but you know, 382% multiplier on her plunge multiplier is a lot bigger than her other multipliers. So, you know, I mean, I shouldn't say a lot bigger. It's not like insanely bigger than her charge attack necessarily, but it also applies Electro every time, which is potentially meaningful. So, I don't know. Plunge Raiden seems fun. I won't be doing Plunge Raiden in this account, obviously, but I want to, so I hope it works. The reason it might not work, by the way, is because we've never had any character that's like kind of worded in some of the ways that Cloud Retainer's worded as far as her buff goes. And you know, Cloud Retainer has wording that says specifically like she gives bonus plunge damage, and you are doing plunge damage with Raiden, but then Raiden also specifically has this line saying her damage is considered elemental burst damage, and that's why 4P's emblem works on her when she's doing like the normal charge attacks, because the normal charge attacks when you're using her burst count as burst damage, not as normal charge attack damage. So that's why, like, you know, normal charge attack damage bonus from artifact sets don't benefit, like 4P's Gladiator, for example, don't give damage bonus to Raiden during her burst. But like Homcat has said that like, oh, she does get the damage buff, but then the Homcat also simultaneously said it doesn't trigger something else, which I think is like the Star Wicker part of Xianyun's kit. I'm like, I don't know. Like, so it might simultaneously get the buff or not get the buff. I wouldn't rely on that if you're hoping to play, you know, Plunge Raiden with Cloud Retainer. It's something I'll definitely try out, though. tenacity on Fossilors is something I'd unironically do. I already do it with Raiden. I might permanently switch, like, not even joking, I might permanently switch, not, this is polearms only, but tenacity, like, if I get the quality of pieces on tenacity that I have on this account, because I have my C2 Farina, my main thinking is, like, okay, I can put, like, appropriate main stats, this is the wrong button, I can put appropriate main stats on Farina on tenacity, and turn her into a more of a buffing build instead of, you know, a Farina damage focus build, because I have C2, so like she's getting so much HP, so much of additional damage from her C2, that I'm just like, okay, let's make her damage less by using the wrong artifact set on her. That is a lot worse for her own personal damage. Like, it's like not using gilded or golden troop, 4-piece golden troop, losing that 70% skill damage bonus on Farina is much worse than like, I'm losing more than I gain from C2, to be clear. When I did some basic calcs, significantly more. But I'm gaining, you know, the attack percent for the team, which might not matter depending on the team, but it might matter. So if I can get, you know, not that kind of artifact, but, you know, the, you know, crit artifacts with a decent, like, stats distribution, you know, something like these artifacts, right, from my Farina, I might stick her on tenacity instead on my main account, just to power her down a little bit, so that her damage increase from C2 isn't taking over the team's total damage. So yeah, I might do it. It's 316% at level 10. Nice. I imagine that's probably around 80% more than her charge attack gets. So, you know, theoretically, plunge Raiden with Cloud Retainer could be a thing, but not necessarily going to be like, oh my god, this is Raiden's best team or anything. It's just potentially an interesting option to play Raiden in a different way, is all. But I don't know if it'll actually work. Raiden's is a weird case of her potentially interacting in a way that's not going to work. Or it might. I don't know. So, hope the weapon banner will have good 4-star weapons. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really care that much. Like I said, I'm probably, not on this count, I'm probably only doing a 10 pull for it. Probably. Unless I mean, if I do a 10 pull and I get Xianyun, like, in an immediate 10 pull, I'd be like, okay, I might go to pity for it. Might. Because then I have enough wishes left over to justify it. Might. No guarantee. Anything for content, though. Yeah, I'm joking. Half joking. I do justify some of the wishes I spend, to be clear, for content. Well, a lot of the wishes I spend are for content. But, anyways. I don't know. I think that's all I got for this trim. It's been freaking 3 hours of rambles. So, yes, I am pulling Xianyun. I will have, I don't know what video exactly I have planned for Xianyun this week, other than, you know, I'll have a first impressions video that's going to be, like, my plan is to do a, like, hey, I got Xianyun, do a very short segment in the beginning of the video, pulling for Xianyun, and then having the rest of the video be first impressions of testing a couple different things with her. So, you know, that'll probably come out on the weekend. Probably. Maybe. I also was hoping to get my, you know, I wished on the weapon banner talking about weapons only in hindsight for this week, but that might be delayed because that video's going to take more effort. Anywho's, I'll wait for your video to decide if I pull or not. Cool. Yeah, so I can tell you my first impressions are probably going to be fairly positive, but I will absolutely have a disclaimer. Like, if you don't have any ideas for, like, okay, I want to do plungy things with this character or with this character, and you don't care about, you know, the formula of, like, C6 Bennett with Cloud Retainer, making it so you can do a pyro DPS of any melee unit in the game, I think she's a much less relevant character, basically. But for someone like me, she's almost like a, I shouldn't say almost, there's a number of things I don't like about her kit, but she's close to, like, a dream come true for just a fun character that allows me to play the game in more silly ways. So, yeah. She's a character, my current impression is I think that she's going to be one of my favorite characters that I'm never going to openly recommend to anyone. She's just going to be very, very specific to, like, how you enjoy playing the game, I think. And if you have C6 Bennett. I think she's a lot worse character without C6 Bennett. And she's, well, not only just C6 Bennett, I think she's a worse character without Farina, too. And if you want to get the most value out of her, most Xianyun teams are going to want one Farina, too. So there's that factor as well. So, two ifs there. I don't think you need both C6 Bennett and Farina, but I think you probably want at least either C6 Bennett or Farina to get a meaningful amount of value out of Cloud Retainer. Is probably the way I would say. Okay. I think I'm done. I'm kind of hungry and got some other stuff I want to do today. And yeah. Oh, stretch. Good luck for anyone that's wishing, I suppose, in a couple days. And thanks for watching. That's all I got. Would running Xianyun with any infusion character work, not just C6 Bennett? I mean, yes, but the thing is, like, Bennett Pyro infusion is inherently really strong. And you can do, you know, like, Farina, right, to do, and then you can do vapes with your Pyro infusion, right? So, Cryo infusion, for example, if you do that instead, it's like, okay, now who are you running? If you're doing Xianyun Chungus, who else are you running, right? Like, and the problem is that Chungyun, like, doesn't do enough other than his infusion, whereas Bennett does a lot other than his infusion. So, I'm not saying you can't make it work. I'm gonna try to do. One of the things I'm gonna try to do is Candace, for example. Primarily main DPS Candace, like just plunge DPS Candace, but yeah.
The world remains constant over the centuries, but human life is like
Bennett is definitely the best option.
or a bubble rising through water,
Bye bye.
transitory.
I'm just saying, if you play with fire, you're gonna get
Supreme Candace, enjoy.